right, we're going to start the podcast now. Ready? And welcome, Diana Pietrzyk.
Thank you for
I'm
having
probably not
me.
going to say it for the rest of the podcast since I got it right. I'll just say Diana.
Yeah. No worries.
When we had your artwork on, maybe about a month ago, Adiran was his name, his episode. And him and I were trying so hard to figure out how to pronounce your name, like on the air. Like we looked it up before, and we were just both trying to figure it out.
That's amazing. I love that so much.
It's really good art. How long you been making artwork for?
Ooh. I want to say my whole life, when I was a kid, all I wanted were new coloring books, new crayons. I remember I have like distinctive, those like few memories you have from when you're like 6 or 7, getting like scented markers for Easter and like getting the stamp markers. And I always had crayons. My mom would yell at me because I would always ask her to buy me the 64 with the sharpener, and she never wanted to buy it because she's like, you always end up breaking them. So I have like a hard hand, so when I would color, I always broke the crayons, and she would be so mad at me. And basically in school, like art class was always my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
My teachers were always so supportive and like very encouraging of me. And in middle school, I actually wanted to be a scientist because I love science. And I remember like wanting to do microbiology. For a moment, I was really addicted to meteorology and like watching the Weather Channel all day. It was actually the year of Hurricane Katrina. So I remember like following that every single day, like watching the Weather Channel. Twister was like my favorite movie for a long time. And then in high school, I had my sophomore year, I took a painting class. And after that, I learned that I could paint and that I had like a knack for it because I had never really tried painting before. It was just like random art projects that my teachers would put me on. But my teacher was so encouraging that she wanted me to take the AP level art class when I was a junior, which was like kind of, I don't want to say it was rare, but it wasn't common.
Mm-hmm.
And she really saw a lot of potential in me, and like I loved her so much. I loved her attitude, and just like she was so inspiring. So after that, like she showed me that I could do art as a career instead of focusing on like academia. And I was an honor student. I had a really strict mom, so I had to make sure to get straight A's and stuff like that. But it wasn't like I really wanted to. It was just it was, when your parents kind of drill it in you for so long, it becomes a habit.
Yeah.
And my mom would say like, well, maybe art can be your backup and you can go to school for science. And that's when I said no. Like, the only school I ever applied to was Columbia.
Mm-hmm. And you're from Chicago?
Mm-hmm.
And how old are you right now?
28.
28. Okay, so I'm 31, so about 2-3 years older than you. So very interesting. So you started young, but you didn't really know. When did you first know, like, I kind of want to do this as a lifestyle, a career, a hobby, kind of all of it together? Because as an artist, I could relate to this. It's really hard to pinpoint it as like a career versus a hobby, versus a passion, versus an endeavor, versus a journey. And everyone has their different take on it. And most adults look at you and they go, that's just your hobby. And then most people who are younger or your age look at you and they're like, oh, they're on to something. And finding that crossover is a very weird place, knowing when do you start charging? How do you charge? How do you promote yourself? Do you like think you matter enough to even sell it? There's so many psychological things that go into doing something creative that you created yourself. No guidelines, no rules, which makes it fun, right? Because you're like, it's freedom. It's ultimate freedom. Like everything you did here. But can we talk about this real quick? I know I'm on a rant, but I'd like to address this real quick.
So yeah, that's a giphy gif. I guess like backtracking, in high school is when I realized I can do art. I want to do this, especially from that like painting class. And then it didn't see me being like an academic student, because also at that time I developed a stronger love for photography, and just realized that everything around me I needed to be creative. Like I needed to get my hands in pretty much all the mediums, and that's just how I express myself, and that's who I am. And after college, I started working in advertising, and it was interesting, like I would say like trying to do art directing for brands and stuff when you're actually like at heart just a very creative like artist is kind of different, because when you're working in advertising and working in art direction, there's a lot of boundaries And a lot of things, like the client doesn't want it to look like this or like that, but in your head you want to put all these like spins on everything. And after working in advertising for a while, I still needed to find something to like express myself with because I was doing all these like client projects all day. And I was in a stint of depression. And one day I thought, I really want to make visuals for musicians. And because I listen to music all the time, I love music. I don't play it, but I'm a very avid listener. And a lot of the times my animations are actually very much inspired by a song I'm listening to. And so I started diddling around in Photoshop and learned how to make my first GIF. And after that, I started uploading them to Giphy. And after that was about 2016, 2017, it turned out that it was kind of like becoming something because Giphy was growing more and more. It's not just memes. It was also a place for artists like me to put our animated, creations onto. And in about 2018, that's when they launched the GIF stickers. So like you're on Instagram stories or Snapchat and you put the little animated stickers in there. And I was able to be a part of their second run. So it was before anyone else could really put stickers in there. You had to be invited by Giphy at the time to put your stickers on there. And that's when I knew that this is definitely something that I'm focusing on now is a lot of these animated visuals or like GIFs. And present day, a lot of this was my first animated music video. So the more time goes on, the more tricks I learn, the more adventurous I'm becoming. So,
so you make GIFs as well?
Yes. So it's both. I mean, to me, I'm like, a GIF is like maybe something that I can shrink down to like 10 seconds or less. And then I call this like my motion art because this is over 3 minutes.
Got it. So you do a lot of illustration, a lot of drawing. Do you do painting?
Yes,
Painting,
I do.
animation, GIFs, which I guess would be a form of animation, photography, a lot of things, but not music, but like everything else.
Yeah,
everything else but
else.
music, which is that's amazing. And did you always do a lot of different things, or is that just something you've been doing over the years? As you got better at one, you realized you can use that skill, talent, and like research of how to do it and apply it to more things. Is that kind of what's been going on?
It's a little bit of both, I would say.
Okay.
Because even younger in like high school or like in college, I still wanted to explore as many mediums as possible. I remember I took a sculpting class, and so I worked with wood, cardboard, resin, metal, and that was so much fun. I got to be in the wood shop, and like I used a sandblaster for the first time. I just love being creative and using my hands and building things. That's why I like painting. I love it. I get my hands covered in paint. It's so much fun. And then photography, I just love taking pictures of everything. It's like I have to remember everything. I was that friend. I remember like walking with friends to the mall and stuff, and they would be so annoyed with me because I would be like, hold on. I see something that I have to take a picture of it. I have to stop. And it was like almost every other block. And they'd be so mad at me, but I can't, it's almost like it's an impulse that I can't really control, but it's a really good impulse, to me.
Yeah.
And then now just getting older, because of working as an artist and trying to make an income as it, and, I'm kind of forced to have to learn new things. I'm forced to have to adapt because times are definitely they're changing. A lot of jobs are now requiring art directors to know motion graphics. When I started out, in 2015, that wasn't a requirement for an art director. Nowadays, they want you to know how to use After Effects. They want you to be fluent in Photoshop and all those programs and know this skill.
Is that what you do right now, currently, an art director?
Yes, I was an art director up until December. I was working for a startup and it kind of all just fell apart. So now I'm back in freelance land, doing a lot of graphic design and flyers and motion graphics. I'm thinking, I've been doing more photography again. I kind of fell off of that for a bit because I was so focused on everything else.
Film or digital?
Digital photography. I wish I could do film. I did it for a bit in school, but don't have the resources,
the money, the resources. Yeah. I mean, you would have to build a dark room, which I would love to have one day in this house, a dark room. But so you do a lot of things. And when did you? So I want to go back because I went on a rant. Then you explained this. I want to go back to it because I haven't forgotten. I asked you, when did you first realize that it's something you want to try to do as a more than just a hobby, but like a career? When did that first hit you?
So definitely when I was about 16, I was taking this like college level art class in school, and in that class is where we were forced to like hone in onto a theme for something, a theme for like 12 pieces of work.
Mm-hmm.
And then also this thing called the breadth, which is where you like show your range of skills in about 12 pieces of work. And just doing all of that stuff and having the teacher that was so encouraging and supportive, and not like forcing me, but definitely like pushing me to push myself and express my feelings and stuff through the art. That's where I felt more at home with it, and I didn't care about anything else. I had options to take language courses when I was in high school, and when they made it they took that requirement away from graduating, I was like, good, because I don't want to take any language classes. I just want to take, all my electives were art classes.
Mm-hmm.
It was photography, and then it was like illustration, and then the next year was digital photography. So it was any art class I could take, I wanted to take it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when I knew that like it was the only thing I cared about.
And you said earlier your mom was strict about it. Like, your parents not cool with that?
My mom at first, because she's, they come from a more conservative like time when it was, you think of the artist on the street trying to sell their easels.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was a DJ. He was a musician and like a producer, and so he was always very much like, yeah, do the art, do whatever. I remember he was even the guy, if I got like a D on a test, I would make him sign it,
Yeah.
like, don't tell mom. But my mom was very much like focused on academia. She graduated high school early and was like valedictorian and like was always just a super hard worker.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, like, she would say, don't do art forever. You're going to be, I didn't listen. I was like, no, like, I'm going to go to college like you asked me to, but I'm going to go to an art college. And once I started, selling my art and, working with the clients that I've gotten to work with over the last few years, she's like so proud of me now.
Yeah.
It's like totally flipped. She's like, oh, my daughter is doing it. Like, she is making a living.
How long did it take, that switch, for her to finally say something about it? Acknowledge it,
Let's see, so I graduated in 2015. I would say about when I started getting my first, like, when I got the Nike gig. I got to work with Nike in 2018.
Wow.
And I was a featured artist for them. And, I got to make these custom neon signs. And we had an art show in the Sears Tower.
Sears Tower, Willis Tower, Sears Tower.
Sears Tower. I just like Willis Tower, but
so Columbia was 2015.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then I went there. I graduated in 2014.
Oh, hello, alumni.
Yeah. And then the Art Institute after that. But Columbia was undergrad. So I can relate to that. And yeah, it took years too for my parents to say something. But so Nike, it's 2016 or you said 18. And how did you get that gig? How did that happen?
I think it was just through mutual people that like I knew. Someone had to recommend, like, shown the woman at Nike that wanted my work, and then they just emailed me and reached out to me and were like, hey, we want to work with you. And I just I get asked that a lot too. It's, and sometimes it feels offensive and sometimes it doesn't, because sometimes I feel like people are like, well, how did you get that job? Like, how did you get that? And it's like, people who know me and
Mm-hmm.
people who see my work online, a lot of people will say, oh, I saw your work on Instagram. Or the beautiful thing about Giphy was that my work was all over the internet,
Mm-hmm.
and still is all over the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So people see it on random blog posts and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. So yeah, with the Nike thing, that was pretty much it. They just got recommended, or someone showed them my work, and then they were like, yeah, let's choose her.
Mm-hmm. Just to be clear,
Yeah.
I'm not saying like you're not worthy of it, because you're here because I love your artwork.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a big name.
Mm-hmm.
You have to ask when you're talking to someone in your room, like, wait, how did you get Nike? Like, that's cool, like in a good way. Like,
I
that's
don't take
amazing.
that from you in any
Okay.
negative way, but I have gotten it from like some other people too. Just like you could
really?
just tell by the tone. It's like,
No,
How
I'm
did that
I'm
happen,
proud of
you know?
people when they do those
Yeah.
things. I'm not I try not to be a jealous artist of anybody. I try to be proud of when other people do things, especially when like you could see them doing the groundwork. They've been doing it their whole life. I mean, you've been making art your whole life in some way, right?
Mhm.
Started young with the Crayolas.
yep.
And it's weird when you're a kid and you're doing something creative, because you are told by society and your parents and your family, like, Yeah, they always mention someone that was creative. Like, yeah, they did that on the side. Oh, your grandma painted, or like your uncle did this, but they're not. They never say like, but you can do it, and like you should try to go to school for it, take the AP classes, get more experience, try to get an internship. I never hear anybody's parents do that, unless maybe they have money and they're artists too. Other than that, you don't hear that. It's don't worry, it's the
It
table.
was the chair.
Yeah, I've joked about that many times. Like this chairs, especially if you have on certain pants or belts. It always makes like a fart sound,
It's like, oh.
No, I always just say like that was the chair. And then people are like, of course you'd blame the chair. It's like, I'm telling you, these chairs make sounds. I'm thinking about possibly getting like more like computer chairs like that can like are more comfortable. But these kind of just fit, It's the chair with the table. I don't know.
They're not that bad. They just make fart sounds.
Yeah, they do. They do. It's the leather, I'm guessing, right? Yeah.
Something. Yeah.
So Nike and I'm trying to remember, when did you first... You've sold artwork at DZ Fest.
Mm-hmm.
Twice?
Yes.
Right?
I think 2016... Maybe it was 2017.
Was
I feel
it
like it was
17 and 18?
17 and 18 because
Yeah.
it was 2 years in a row. Or was it 18 and 19? Oh my God.
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
And how did was that through Esteban, the Raw Dolls that you found out about, or I found out about you? I don't remember the
I think
exact
it was like a
connection.
combo of like both because they were performing that one year. Now oh my God, my memories. But
They performed in 17
okay,
and
so,
18.
so then that was... Yeah, I found out about it through them. Also, I remember, like, because they were working with you, I was following, and you guys had put out, hey, we're looking for artists to join our festival. So then I reached out, and, I was really into vending just prints. I had all these prints that I had gotten made and, like, all these other things. I painted some flower pots with some cactuses in them. I got, like, holographic stickers. I think I just went wild and had all these things like offered for people to purchase. And the following year, I even sold Trinket Ink earrings.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it a cool experience? I never have time to talk to the artist because I'm busy like running around, So like I never know what it's like for their experience.
So much fun. I love it.
Yeah?
I love it so much. Yeah, because, I'm just sitting in my booth. I have my stuff there. It's super chill. People come and they talk to you and everyone's really nice. And then it's like, you can hear all the music around you. You're just chilling at this
You have a
festival.
good spot. The stage is back and forth.
Yep.
Cool. That's good. I'm glad. I'm trying more and more to grow that. And like, the last year we did 40 artists, so 20 each day. And I'm trying to keep up with that. It's so hard because like I'm only one person trying to like book 40 bands and then the 40 artists, and then like 50, 60 volunteers. So it's just kind of like emails and texting is nuts with all.
I could only imagine. I managed my first like art project this year. I work for a nonprofit called Babes Only, and we try to do so many things. My boss is wonderful, and she just wants to give back to like the earth, women, the community. Like, so we have events like all over the place, and even artists. So I recently became in charge of like artist programming and like getting stuff going for that department. And one of the things we did were like couples portraits for Valentine's Day. And that was I only managed like 5 artists. And even that gave me like a headache because I had to keep track of the deposits. And then, when the art was done, sending it to the client and getting the rest of the money. And like, I was like, oh my God. So I cannot imagine what you were doing.
It's, you build up to it. It's something I've been doing over 10 years. And just between that and like emailing like students, because I'm a teacher too, so you just get good at prioritizing things and knowing how to respond. And if you're going to take days to get back to people, just always preface like, I apologize for my delay. It's because I'm talking to 300 people right now. Just stuff like that. But it's kind of fun because it sets the threshold, like the bar of discomfort, pain, and anxiety. Just puts it so high that everything else is just a joke. Like when things happen now, I'm just like, it doesn't even... I've already been here. Everything else is so like I get now when you see parents and they're just so defeated. They're just like, yeah, whatever. Yep. Because they've been going through 40, 50 years of just this nonsense. Bills, mortgage, bad things happening, wakes, funerals. It's just always something. And they're just so like, yeah, why are you crying about that? Like, they're just like, okay, whatever.
Oh,
Just don't
wow,
care
you're
anymore.
so sad about that. You don't even know. You know, when they tell you when you're younger, oh, just wait till you get older. You don't even understand. And you're like, yeah, whatever. What do you know? And then here we are, like,
They didn't have
they're
COVID to
right.
deal with. I'll give them that. That has really set the bar high, right? Now everything else is easy. After this year that we're about to approach a year of emotional, mental, physical, literally physical because people are sick, distress, pain, anxiety, depression. I mean, what have you been doing the last year? Especially being an artist, it's a different world to navigate as an artist. You making shows or making posters, sorry, for shows, like something you mentioned before. You know that there are no shows, there are no art galleries.
I remember, so last March, I had a job at first before, you know, even when lockdown hit. I had a job for maybe about a month. I used to work for Uber Corporate, and I was just doing call center stuff, like basic tech support for restaurants. And I was not a fan of it. You know, it was just, I couldn't do anything creative. I had to sit at my desk for 8 hours a day and, you know, answer tickets for people who got locked out of their tablets and stuff like that. So, you know, it was very draining on me mentally, but the comfort I had of knowing I had a job when so many people were losing it was great. Up until about a month after lockdown, it was part of like a mass layoff that they did on Zoom, and they fired like 3,500 people via Zoom in like a 3-minute. You know, we have to make sacrifices, and this is a hard thing. You know, and I'm just like
3,500 people in a Zoom.
in one Zoom firing. Yes.
I'm sure that person who did that had fun like golfing that night.
Oh my God.
You know, while they went and who spent a couple $1,000s on a meal or something.
They wasted no time. They locked me out of my account right away, like, because I didn't even see it coming. You know, like there were talks about it for a while, but I was like thinking, oh, well, I mean, I'm not terrible at my job. I think I'm doing pretty good. You know, like I help out my managers whenever they want, like, and then all of a sudden it's like, you have a 10 o'clock meeting, and I had no idea. My coworker called me, and my shift starts at 11. So I was like, why do they want me to come in early? And then I was like, oh, wow, I'm getting fired. Like, I'm getting laid off, you know? And it sucked at first, you know, because it just felt like, oh, man, like COVID, I'm losing my job. But then, you know, I was able to collect unemployment benefits, and
Which were great. What was this in the summer this happened?
Yeah, they were so good in the summer. Like
it was weird because there was a point where if you were working but you like had a job you didn't like, and then you saw all your friends out in July, August, just having fun, making whatever it was, like $1,000 a week or something, depending on what you did before.
Yeah.
But it was a lot, and they were just having the best time ever. And I'm like, I had friends that they had the opposite, like they were still working and making less money than their friend. But you have to remember that's only short term. That pleasure is only 2, 3, 4, 5 months. I rather have the job I don't really care for and have that longevity and safety net than like this kind of fun amount of money, but like how long does this last for?
I hate being on unemployment. I mean, I had done it the year before, and because if you're a freelancer, a gig worker, it's kind of stressful because you can't make X amount of money, and you have to keep track of that. And I've reported. I remember one time I did a gig for Bacardi, and I had to report how much I made. And it was the thing about freelance gigs is that you can say, yeah, I worked for somebody, but you're not going to get paid for like a month or two later. And they still tell you you're supposed to report when you're working. But then you'll call someone and they'll say, oh, no, just report it when you get paid. And then I have a friend who works in, like, the fraud department and is like, no. You're supposed to report it when you're working. And I'm just like, do you guys, like, this? It makes no sense. So I hate unemployment. It's very stressful. And so for that reason, I went back to work at the end of the summer for a startup. And I was doing digital art directing. And it was all great and stuff until, like, 2 months later. We finally got paid because we didn't get paid at first. And then, you know, my boss at the time was like, well, someone took my money. And so we're like, okay, well, we'll wait and get paid. We got paid. A few weeks later, December 11th hits, which is when our next paycheck is due because we were signed up on payroll. And when that happened, we get a call. Investor hasn't come through yet, so you guys aren't going to get paid. So I still haven't gotten paid. And I'm owed 3 weeks of pay. So I'm currently in a wage claim with the state.
Wait, you said December? It's March.
Yep.
3 months?
Yeah. And I didn't quit or anything because I wanted to wait and get paid. And we actually officially all got, like, booted off the email, like, last week. And then I had to return the company belongings or they were going to threaten to pursue other actions even though they owe me, like, thousands of dollars.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And for what company is this?
It's a startup called Smark.
Oh, the one you said earlier, the head.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's terrible. So, with all of that being said, at first I felt really great. I think like in the beginning of the pandemic and stuff, but then when all that happened, the last few months have been so hard. I call it a triple threat because it was COVID, depression just from like that scenario, and then we had winter. Seasonal depression. So it was really hard for me to want to make any art.
Mm-hmm.
It was hard for me to want to work.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't have any funds. I was draining my savings, and I didn't want to do any work for anybody. And that was really, really tough because then you're in a position of like, well, I have to make an income. I still have to work. So then it's like you're even more upset because you're forcing yourself to get work done and, you know, make some money.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, at this point in time, like, it's finally, coming to like an equilibrium of like, okay, I'm not as stressed about the situation anymore. I mean, I still am, but it's like I've done the mourning phases of like grief and anger and, you know, all that stuff. And now it's just, I'm dealing with that, but it's not going to like have the hold on me like it was having like a month or two ago.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's been pretty good, you know, mentally. I'm coming out of it.
Yeah.
I could say like the depression and stuff.
Did you do anything to try to help that, mitigate it, or you just kind of?
I just kind of wrote it out
Yeah.
because I don't like forcing myself to make art. Like, because a lot of my art actually comes from what I'm feeling or what I'm daydreaming about or whatever. But if I'm not inspired, it's like blank. It's like,
Did
I
you
don't
try
say
any
anything.
extracurricular things to help it? Did you try like reading more, going out more?
I spend more time with my pets.
More
I
time
like
pets?
cooking. Oh, I have 2 dogs. I
Mhm.
have Bee and then Momo. And then 2 cats, Poopsie and Tails.
Great. Were these names? Those are good names.
What's funny is that the only one we named was Momo.
Okay.
So Bee, we adopted her at the shelter, and she came with Bee.
Mhm.
And then Poopsie came with Poopsie. And it was funny because we got him at Petco, and it was an impulse like, we want this cat. And and it's just like the greatest cat ever. And he was so cute that I couldn't change his name.
Mhm.
And then Tails, you know, an acquaintance of mine had him, but then they couldn't like give him the attention that he needed. So then I took him in. And then Momo, I named her after Aang from the Avatar's lemur. He had a pet lemur named Momo. And I always wanted his lemur when I was younger and I'd watch the show. So I named my puppy after that.
Got it. So you have 4 animals. You're an animal person.
Yes.
Yeah. Bo, the dog that lives here, not my dog, but a roommate's dog, but he's been here for 4 years. So feels like my dog. But I had a childhood dog growing up, but I haven't had an animal since. And I love animals, but I also love like, I'm a very I want to do what I want to do type of person.
Oh.
If you haven't noticed. And so I don't like anything being in the way, such as just anything.
They're a lot of work.
They're a lot of work.
They're a lot of work.
If you underestimate the animal, then you might be neglecting it. If you think that it's not that big of a deal, it's like, no, it is. The fur, the food, the health, just being by them, make sure they
Playtime.
don't lose their mind, get sad. You know, there's a lot of things. It's a lot, especially 4. It's a lot of work. But so this pandemic really, you had many peaks and valleys with this, the jobs back and forth, and the whole time throughout it, your output fluctuated. Like by the winter, you kind of stopped making more artwork. Yeah, is that the first time that's happened to you? No.
No, it's definitely been one of the worst times because I do suffer from like anxiety and depression just in general. And even I have this condition called PMDD, which is like half of the month because of my hormones, I'm actually extra depressed and anxious. And because I like didn't have a job, don't have insurance, I had to stop taking my medication for a few months. And so that's kind of where I think it got worse for me these last few months. But it's like, they're the lows that I expect. I go to therapy and, you know, I'm very self-aware of like when I'm feeling the way I'm feeling that I kind of just let them ride out because I know that eventually it's going to clear up. And then I'll be good for like another few months. And then, I don't know, something else might happen. But, you know, it's like what we were talking about earlier with like parents just kind of like defeated or like unfazed by it because it's like, oh, whatever, this happens. Like, that's kind of where I am. I just try to take care of myself. And I was sleeping a lot, you know, and I was like, I guess I have to sleep and trying not to feel guilty about all the sleeping and the not work that I'm doing. That's really important because for a bit, you kind of sit there like, wow, I'm not doing anything. And then you make yourself feel worse. And you can't do that. Like, you have to definitely try and take care of yourself.
What if you took that feeling, that switch, that you become self-aware and you look back on yourself and you go like, well, I'm sleeping too much. My output's not where it should be. Do you ever take that feeling and go like, okay, because I'm feeling this way, maybe I will try to do something about it? Or is that something that just doesn't feel possible in the moment when you're that low? Or you just are aware, maybe I'll just write it out and say, screw feeling guilty about it?
There's days where I will definitely feel like, okay, get up and do something. Just try and do something. Try and make an animation or like a GIF. And then there's days where it's like, it's not going to happen today.
Yeah.
Like, it truly just depends on the day. I will say that if, because of the winter, any of the days that it was cloudy, when it was like I didn't want to do anything.
Which was most days.
Yeah, it was just the cloudiness. I can't do it. I need sunlight.
So,
like today. Oh my God, today is just ridiculously gorgeous.
Today's
I feel
really nice.
the serotonin levels are just at peak right now. Like it's awesome.
Right? 63 and sunny. And 63 and sunny on March 8th is like 90 degrees.
Yeah.
Like I'm wearing shorts. Like you see, I look like I'm going to the beach today, right?
I'm like so surprised because for some reason you expect, living in the city in like the Midwest for so long, usually March is like not that great of a month, or it's like this weird
It's all
toss
over.
up. Yeah.
It's this it's a turning point. It's a seasonal change point. So you get we've had 80-degree days in March. I've been here my whole life, so if you know what I'm talking about. But then we've also had blizzards. And April is kind of like that too, but it's less so. But it's still like 50, 60, 70, but then like 20, 30 snow sometimes a monsoon. April showers bring Mayflowers. They don't talk about like April blizzards still bring Mayflowers, and even, was it last May or the May before that we had some snow in May?
Yep.
2 Mays ago, I think.
Yep. That was really weird.
It was really weird. It happens though. And the seasonal depression thing is interesting because it's a very common thing, and I think it has to do with the serotonin levels, the vitamin D, your circadian rhythm being wonky because of so much darkness. People tend to shift their staying up or sleeping because it doesn't matter because it's just dark anyway, and that starts to get into your head of your circadian rhythm, not having a good pattern, not getting as much sunlight in. And I did as much as I can to mitigate this winter, and I didn't have any seasonal depression, and it felt weird. It was very weird. It felt normal, and I felt the winter was nothing to me. It was just like it was like I had to take an extra breath, and that's it. And it felt the same as the summer because I tried so hard to like go against everything that I normally would have done. 30 years of experience of screwing up my winter experience. And this year I was just like, I'm getting up every morning at 7 a.m. I'm taking up sunlight. I'm walking every day throughout the whole winter, no matter how cold or hot or whatever it is. So I could always take in information and get nature and see things and like experience the world and have a new outlook on what the winter is.
It's really pretty over here when it was snowy.
It
I remember
very
when I
much
dropped
is.
off the prints that last day, and I was just like, this is such a winter wonderland. Like, the trees were so covered, the clean sheets of just, like, the white snow. It was,
It
like,
is.
just your eyes, too, because it's so bright. Your eyes are just, like burning because of, like, how bright the snow is.
Very bright. And even without being sunny, it's very bright because there's so much white reflecting. And I don't know, it's like gives you a new perspective on weather and how important it is, like around here, knowing how important this type of nature is to have what we have in the summer. It comes from the winter, and what we have in the spring comes from the fall. We need these seasons, and it just kind of gave me a whole new, it might be like the creative spark in me, like trying to find beauty and creativity and expression in everything I see. And I got a lot of it through like forest walks in the winter and just seeing the dead branches with the snow on it, knowing like this is necessary for like the beautiful summers we have and the type of plants and the climate and the animals. And it's just so quiet in the winter because there's not a lot of cars, there's not people around, so you just hear everything differently. You can kind of hear the earth move a little bit more, and it's a different type of peace that you normally don't get because you're always inside in the winter. And if you go outside, it's because you're driving somewhere. When we'd go on these walks, my friend and I, especially in the blizzards, there was nobody. We were the only human beings out there. You wouldn't see cars, you wouldn't see people. And I don't know, it was just really nice and comforting, especially knowing that little switch in your head that gets flicked when you know you accomplished something. So, like, just having, like, every morning, make your bed, wake up at 7, and go for a walk, just those 3 things set up the whole day because you're like, oh, I did 3 things today. Like, my room's clean, I got up early and faced the day head on, and I accomplished something by going for a walk. So it's healthy, It's meditative, and I got to take in nature and like go outside, take in some air instead of being cooped up in these dark rooms just watching Netflix all day. You know what I mean? Like that's the only way I was able to get through it, and it was fine, and it worked great. So I recommend it. Try next year.
Next year, I think I'm definitely.
No, it's too late. It's March.
It's cool. I think that I definitely wouldn't have been as bad if I didn't go through what I was going through with the whole employment
The jobs
situation
and all
and
that.
basically just being gypped out of like all this money and now like
Yeah.
having to fight for it. That really took a toll on me, and I think it's because like no one talks about how an employer can be emotionally abusive towards you and how that can affect you, mentally, and how you can work with somebody who says like, I'm here for you, everything like that, and you put trust into them, but then they turn around and like just don't care about you,
Yeah.
because I wasn't the only one. It was all 5 of us. So it's just a whole ordeal, and with that, it just like led to things. And there was also another scenario that I had too, like literally around the same time, with a friend, and just clashed, didn't work, and so I had to deal with just like almost like 2 breakups, like it was just it was a wild
hard.
time. Yeah. And so I definitely, now that time is going on, and I will say just the biggest thing that's making me feel better is that spring is coming, and it just gives me this whole new form of energy to be creative and make new work. I started getting into NFT art.
What's that?
So NFT is crypto art. So, it's non-fungible token. And the best way I can explain it, because I'm still new to it. I've only been doing it for about 3 weeks now. And it's digital art that people put online for sale that's purchased via cryptocurrency, whether it be Bitcoin or Ethereum. Ethereum is the one that I use. And it's like the newest, it's becoming the biggest wave right now for a lot of digital artists. Even photographers can take part. Like pretty much anyone can take part. The biggest thing is you have to stand out. And it's also a way that a lot of artists are finding income in this time because there's no galleries. A lot of galleries don't take people. And it's just opening up more doors because there's literally these collectors who are people who have invested in the cryptocurrency and this world for so long that they have funds to support artists and, collect art. So essentially it's like online galleries almost, like these collectors taking part in you yourself, like as an artist, you sell your work or, put it up for sale, but you can also collect art too. So it's just this whole ecosystem of trading and collecting art while also, making an income if possible. It's not something that anyone who joins it should expect right away. It takes a lot of work. Like, I've only sold one thing, and it was to a friend. So it's really hard because I think that when I went into it, I underestimated it. And now, 3 weeks later, literally, like, I'm like, this is now making me rethink and actually push myself even harder to make work that really does mean something to me. Because it's not about stuff that looks good. A collector will see that, but they want to know the story behind your work. I'm learning is like a very important thing, is the story behind the stuff that you're putting out. So that's where my new wave of motivation is also coming from now, because now I'm thinking like, I want to make some really meaningful work now, and actually take the time to tell a story or think about it. And then, there's a write-up part next to it, and that's where you kind of explain your process or where the inspiration came from. And that's what moves people to invest in your art and you.
That's such a I never heard of that. How new is this?
So I think it's been going on for a while. And by a while, I mean like over a year that I can at least think of back in my head. Like I know someone who's been doing it like for like 6 months, maybe even over. And but now, like, at least for me, like, on Twitter, because of the artists I follow, it's, like, all you see now is, like, all that they talk about is NFT, crypto art, drop your Rarible or OpenSea links below. Like, those are 2, like, sites that host the NFTs and, like, your galleries. And I had someone that I've worked with my nonprofit who suggested that I get into it. And I put stuff on sale, but I haven't had any luck, and I'm learning now it's because no one sees any meaning behind what I put up. And I'm like, I'm not offended or anything. I'm like, so this is a challenge. Like a challenge for me to push myself so that I can prove that I have worth and that like value, or there's a message that in my work that resonates with somebody.
That's kind of like, it's kind of like the prerogative for almost all artwork, like to try to not really prove that it's worthy, but I guess in that case, those are the words you're using. But it seems like when you become successful at creating art, it's because someone else found value and there's proof to them that it's worth having, right? So it's
Yeah, maybe proof is the wrong word, but it's you gotta touch somebody
yeah,
in a way. You gotta appeal, not maybe appeal, but you gotta get to them. Like they gotta see your work and see what's behind it, and then, yeah, they appreciate it. You just gotta find people who appreciate your art. So it's like that's the biggest lesson you have to learn as an artist is not everyone's gonna appreciate the art you make.
most people won't.
Yeah, you gotta learn that right away. Like being an artist is hard. It is tough, you know. Like not everything I make, not everyone's gonna like this, but that's fine because it's still mine and I'm making it for me and for the people who hire me or appreciate me to make that for me.
Yeah, I mean, statistically, someone's gonna like it.
Yeah.
And like that's all that matters. You know, it's you do it for yourself. I think the best artists do the work for themselves because ultimately, I think it's a self-expression. I think it's something that you're trying to get out of your core. Like when you mentioned earlier, every time you'd walk somewhere, you had to take a photograph. You couldn't help it. You know, when you were younger, you were always doodling with crayons and stuff. You couldn't help it. I can't help but try to think of dumber and crazier things that I always try to do with the things I have and the experiences I have, you know, such as this podcast or the festival and those types of, or, you know, playing in a bunch of bands. Like I can't help it. It's something that I need to do. And the byproduct could be, you know, 10,000 people don't care, but maybe like 7 people care. And like, as long as I care and those 7 people care, that the rest doesn't matter to me. But usually more people care than not. It usually tends to be cranky, sad, angry, mean people who are missing things in life that tend to lash out and at least vocalize how much they don't like your artwork. You know, do you ever get that? Do you ever get people who are just mean about it?
I'm trying to think. I don't know if anyone
Probably not anymore.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know if anyone's openly done it to me.
Yeah.
I would not put it behind anyone or doubt if I've been talked about behind my back because you'll see something and that's a big lesson you have to learn is that someone might be making art and you know it's awesome, but you want to find something wrong with it. You got to find a flaw in it so that you feel better. I mean, that's like what bullies do. Not saying that person is a bully per se, but it's just, it comes from you not being able to accept that there's so much talent in this world.
Yeah.
Ridiculous amount of talent.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying you're not going to be the top person. Like, I'm saying to myself, like, don't ever try and put yourself on that pedestal or put that pressure on you because it is not worth it. Like, you really just need to make what you want to make. And the same thing with, like, this whole NFT art. Like, if you go on these websites, there is a ridiculous amount of talent. Like, it's just, like, I want to invest in all of you. But it's kind of expensive, you know, because of the cryptocurrency and investing in that and stuff. So, but that, though, the beautiful thing about seeing all that talent and all those amazing artists is that makes you want to push yourself.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing I'm finding now, like I had said before, is just I'm really finding now that I need to push myself and really dig deeper in what I make and not make for other people, make for you. That's the most important thing you think you have to learn too as an artist is really just make things for you and for what you want because like we said, 7 people could really like it.
Yeah. And that's it's exponential because if 7 people, I can't speak for those 7 people.
Yeah.
When I like something, I can't help but share it with other people and it spreads more and more. And I'm always telling someone about this movie, that film, this band, that album, this artist. That's why I like to do this. That's why I like to have people on and have the artwork so I could promote it more. That's why, like, at DZ Fest, every artist has been like, how much do you charge per table? And I'm like, I don't charge anything. In fact, I build the tables for you.
Wonderful. Such a saint.
I didn't know that was a thing until I realized it was a thing, that food vendors who sold here are for free. The artists who sell artwork, it's for free. And I'm like, I have the space already. I'm already paying the property taxes. There's no skin off my back. It's already here. I like to build stuff, and I like to just give a space for people who should have their voices heard, whether it's through images because they're artists or through their lyrics because they're a singer, songwriter on a stage, you know. And money's a weird thing for me. I mean, it's good to be compensated for work, but I try to see like the whole experience of DZ Fest as like, I don't know, kind of it's an accumulation of like my whole life experience and everyone I've met, and I want like everyone to have a space to be themselves and express it, because not everyone does. Not everyone gets that. They really don't. And that's kind of like the goal for me. But yeah, I don't know. Art's weird, and I always just do it for myself. And you meet people who talk about like they're always trying to figure out a way to please other people with their art. They're like, well, this has been working for that person. Where I saw on someone's Instagram, or I saw on YouTube, or I heard on the record they did this, this, and that. When I saw them live, they did this and that. So we should do that because it's working now for sales and streaming sales. And I can't get to that place in my head, but I see it all the time.
I think definitely social media has played a huge part in the self-esteem of artists. I mean, it's even gotten to me a few times. Like, I'm not going to lie and say that I've been so sad and insecure because, no one's liking my work. But I think that going past this most recent phase of depression, it's like, that doesn't even matter anymore.
You said no one's liking my work?
Yeah, like, if you think that, especially if you have an overthinking tendency, it's like all these thoughts you're putting into your head, like, wow, they really don't like you. Or, oh, man, you shouldn't have done this. You shouldn't have posted this.
Why do you think no one's liking your work? What makes you think that?
Oh, because of likes.
Oh, yeah.
Literally. Like,
yeah. Why did you see it go down or something?
I think it's the algorithm on Instagram. Like, I have all those followers.
Yeah.
But a lot of them are bots, I think, because I got suggested. I was a suggested user by Instagram back in 2015. And they suggested me, and that was when they were basically, if you signed up for the app, they'd be like, hey, follow this person, follow this person, so follow this person. And I gained like over 25,000 followers in a week. That was crazy. I was at like 800 maybe, and then I went up and jumped to like 28,000 or something like that. Now I'm back down to like 23. But that's because I think a lot of the bots and also people are just kind of falling off and dying off and stuff. And with that, though, is that like...
Hopefully people are not dying off.
Falling off the app.
Hopefully the bots are dying off and the people are just not doing it anymore. I hope all these people are just dying so I can stop having followers.
Oh, my God. Not dying off. Falling off or just unfollowing me.
Yeah.
Not the other thing. But... with that being said, it's like for a while, I would kind of beat myself up because it would be like, you see that big number and then it's like, oh, this only got 50 likes. That ratio is just so uncomfortable. And I know I'm not the only one. I have a lot of fellow artists who complain about the algorithm and how it's like, why is this not serving us? Instagram is not serving artists anymore. They only care about sales and like promotional stuff. And that's why, again, like the whole algorithm thing, it's just like, why? Why is no one seeing this? Especially when they changed it from chronological order to like just whenever.
It dropped, I think a year or two ago, it dropped. It used to be about 10% of what you posted. If you had like 10,000 followers, you post something, you probably get 10%. So you get 1,000 likes, right? And then I think they dropped it to like 2%. And I think it happened about 2 years ago. So I remember seeing it happen. And it's also a product of like, if you don't use it that much, you get less. It's so weird. I don't get, mine doesn't make any sense to me because it's just like, it grew quickly in like a year, just not quickly, but like a couple thousand followers in like a year, just organically. And then it's just plateaued and I just like get none. I'm like, I post here and there. I'm active. I've been doing this stuff for a decade and it just like sits there. I'm like, I don't know what else to do. I don't care. I'm just going to keep posting, but it's weird. It's weird. It doesn't, personally, I know for a fact it doesn't reflect anything I do at all. The numbers are a joke. It's like, dude, I've met more people than that just in my basement recording bands. Like I've met way more than 4,300 people. This is ridiculous. Trying to think about it because like there's so many more people have been to DZ Fest than that. It's like not representing it. So it's weird. Like you don't have that same experience. Your stuff's more online. So for you, it's probably tricky to understand like how much people actually, like I know that way more people know about these things than the numbers online reflect. But for you, what's that like? Like you said, like a lot of it jumped from followers to 25,000 followers in a week. Like, is it strange knowing that a lot of your followers are probably people from around the world that you don't actually know?
Yes.
Or you never met them.
Because I can check my insights and it's like you have followers in Cairo. And that's how I know those are the bots.
Yeah.
Like, and from anything from the, the Middle Eastern, like Africa, I have like, you can see the percentages of those are where your followers from. And I'm like, those are the bots. And I think about it all the time. Like, I just want to get rid of you guys. Like, I don't want you taking up my space anymore, but that's so much work.
What you should do is something I've been trying to do. Just do like, 50 a day. And just for the next year, not even next year, but if you do the math, it shouldn't take long before you weeded all that stuff out. Just like go through 50 accounts every day, like in the morning, just for 5 minutes, and just go delete, 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 delete.
Yeah, and Instagram doesn't let you do more than, I think it's, I've done that before, and it was a while ago, but I remember they like capped me where I was doing it, and they're like, all right, no more.
What are you doing?
You're not allowed to unfollow more people or whatever, like no more. Like, it was like weird activity to them. And it's like, you guys put me in this position in the first place. Like, but it's just so confusing. And
are you certified on there? How does that work?
You gotta, so I read, I think you have to be like published and stuff like that. And you have to be written about in some good article from a reputable source. Which is funny because I've tried to apply for it. And it was simply because I'm certified on Giphy. And the thing is that some of my work is repeatedly used, and it's been used like around the world. I mean, I've had people in Spain, Thailand, like reach out to me and stuff to use it in like projects or like stuff in like London, but that doesn't matter, I guess. Even though I want to say like, this is mine, like I'm this person, but people are using my work around the world because the whole point of being verified is so that people know that you're the real person. But it's not accessible to everybody.
No, it's not. I've tried and I don't know. I'm like, I don't know what to do, but okay, whatever.
Yeah,
I guess I won't do it.
You just kind of gotta. And I was like, okay, whatever, then fine. I guess I'll just deal with it. And even like the feature to swipe up to get like links, it's so bizarre to me that that's not available to everybody.
Is that available?
You have to have like it is. You have to have like 10K or more followers to have the swipe up option in your stories, so that people can go to the links that you want them to go to.
That's an arbitrary number, 10. I wonder why they picked 10.
I have no idea. 10 for some reason I think feels like a lot of brands now. If you're gonna be an influencer, they want you to have like 10 or more, because they want to make sure people are seeing the stuff that you post related to their brand.
Yeah.
I got invited recently to do a gig and I didn't do it. I turned it down because they wanted me to post about some clothing. And then they were like, but send us screenshots of your insights so that we can see how many people actually liked your post and like how many people viewed it. And I'm like, oh, well, you're going to be sorry because like no one's going to see it. My reach is terrible. Like, so I was like, I guess I'm out. But they emailed me like 3 times. And so I'm like, no, it's not going to happen. But that's the thing. So the whole numbers thing, the algorithm, the numbers, and like that's where it comes back down to is that people just really want to make money off of Instagram.
Yeah.
And that's not where I'm going with Instagram. I just want people to see my work. I want to be able to open up more opportunities for collaboration and stuff like that.
It's good for that, but it is about money. The influencer thing is goofy. I don't get that one at all. I don't even know what that means, but I guess it means you're influencing people.
You're influencing people to spend money on somebody's brand.
Got it.
That's what you're an influencer, basically.
Okay, because my friends joke about that a lot with me, and I'm like, I don't even know what that means. I'm like, my brain's from like the Greatest Generation mindset, where I'm just like, I want to get stuff done. Things matter. I care about people. And then, but I was born in 1989, and it's like, I don't know what to do about this. And I don't care about these things, and I'm trying to think about it. But it matters. And Facebook gets big with it, and it's advertising. My numbers on Facebook are hysterical. Like, if I post something now, I'll get like 5 likes.
I use Facebook maybe like 5 times a year. Like, I just don't, I think a lot of it was, I was seeing a lot of, people I followed in high school or like even like conservative family members would post stuff that I didn't agree with, and it just turned me off. I don't know what it was. I just kind of fell off like a Facebook. I posted on there maybe like 2 weeks ago for the first time in a while because I was like, I need a lawyer. Like, can someone help me with a labor lawyer or something? And I got like 5 likes, so
yeah.
No one really. Now the most action is if I change my profile picture. So
yeah. I know exactly why you aren't on Facebook, because it sounds like it's the same reason why I'm not on Facebook much. It's because it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's chaotic.
So chaotic.
It's the town hall, and everyone who, doesn't know what they're talking about. It's on there acting like they know what they're talking about.
It's
I don't claim to know what I'm talking about. That's why I'm not on there doing that.
Mhm.
I'm not a political science major. I have never worked in Washington. I don't know anything about these things. I only know what I've learned through books, YouTube, and being 31 years old. So, like, why should I pretend? But you also don't get points across that way.
Mm-mm.
It doesn't work. Why would I convince Uncle so-and-so, who's a conservative, whatever, that should rethink his thoughts and his ideologies? Not that he's wrong, but he should just rethink it and reconsider what he's saying or what messages he's putting out there. Why would it work? Why would he be like, you're right, Ben. I'm sorry. It just doesn't work that way. So I've kind of got away from that. All the arguing, the friends that have been torn apart, families.
Oh my God, there's so much stuff.
I'm just like, none of it, And if there's ever anybody in family that is questionable, before a family party, I would just like text my mom, like, let's just not talk about this today. Like, can we just have our barbecue and relax and not argue about Donald Trump?
Yeah.
Like,
oh my God.
we're fully aware of how polarizing it is, especially when when you have family as you do that are of different races, different color skins, and you're in the same family. Then it gets weird.
It's really weird, like having Mexican family members who were supporting him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, do you not hear what comes out of his mouth? Like, does that not offend you? Because I'm offended for you.
It's hard for certain people to separate their ideologies and religion and the political party. I don't know why. People just love their tribes, but it is certainly not hard for me to be like, no, yes. Like, just because I believe one thing doesn't mean I can't believe another. They don't have to be married together. It's a joke that it is, but that might be a mindset of people our age. Maybe we're a little bit more open to that.
I think we're definitely a more open-minded generation. At least we're coming to that.
It might just be also our own echo chambers. You have a different color hair. You have tattoos. You have visual art here.
Yeah.
You're an artist. You went to school for art. So did I. And look at where we are. Like, of course we're gonna feel and think this way.
Yeah.
I have to remind myself that too. Like, I'm always just around these people. That's why I enjoy meeting different people, having different people on this podcast. I don't even know everyone's full political background, but I don't care because if you're a person that I care about, that stuff doesn't matter. And if there's something we have a disagreement on, we can just talk about it like this or offline and figure it out. But you don't figure it out through berating people, belittling them, coming at their whole life, telling them they're dumb, X, Y, and Z, just trying to one-up them online so like 10 people can see it. And then that gets shares and likes. You'll see these crazy threads, and then a friend will be like, dude, did you see what happened on Facebook? No, I didn't, and I don't want to know because by tomorrow it won't matter anyway.
I feel like I would punish myself. Not even like I'm deliberately punishing myself, but especially around the times of like the election and stuff, I would go on the Twitter threads
Oh boy.
for his followers and just kind of, what am I reading? Like,
Yeah.
because some of it was just very outlandish. Like, you're just kind of like, this is really someone's thought process right now, and not everyone has the same thought process or ideologies and stuff, and you try to understand it, but it's like, you just got to stop trying and just do you. Like,
Talk to them in person. If you're going to have an issue with someone, try to talk in person. It doesn't work really through any other way but person. Maybe a phone call, but probably best like a Zoom chat. Because you still need to have that facial social cues of knowing, like, so they can see the intent behind your tone and what you're doing. And, like, when you say something facetious, are you smiling? Because if you're doing it through text, they don't know if you're smiling or not. So they could be like, this person's a jerk. They said this to me. It's like, I was just kidding. But they wouldn't know. It doesn't work. The texting, the errors, the grammatical errors, like these things add up to where you're just like, I don't even know if this person's being mean or not, what they're trying to say.
you put a period at the end of what you're saying. That's like my thing. If I'm annoyed with somebody, I'll put a period at the end of my sentence because I don't always put periods or punctuation. Okay. So it's like,
if you're serious,
if I'm serious, I'm like, period.
Oxford, comma, colon. You use you bust out all the grammatical stuff.
Yeah, that's how like someone will know that I'm annoyed. Is like if I get kind of what's the word? Short. Yeah.
Short. Yeah. Well, it's good to hear you stay away from because that's another thing that's really bad for people's mental health. Like if you're someone who's susceptible to seasonal depression, mental illnesses, even light stuff, just like general anxiety or general depression, that stuff doesn't help. It gets in your head. The numbers on social media don't help. These algorithms getting into your head don't help. I was really glad. It was weird at first, but I was really glad when Instagram took off the numbers of likes you could see on people's stuff.
I still have them. They took mine off for like 1 hour. And then brought the likes back, and I was so
No,
upset.
you could see them, but other people can't. So
Really?
yeah, if I went on yours, I wouldn't be able to see how many likes you have on like something.
Really?
Yeah.
I need to go back and check.
You can see them
Okay.
like on your own private when you
Mhm.
go and you could see everything, but you can't see it on other people's things. It'll just say so and so and so and so liked it and X and like and others. It just won't say 350 others because before you'd see that and you'd be like, oh, that person got 85, or that person got 100, or that person got a million. I only got 10, and it's just it messes with people's heads.
It's definitely, like I said, I've admittedly it's messed with mine for a while, but you just have to coach yourself out of that, like, over time and just learn they don't matter. Like, this is you expressing yourself and posting this here, and if people don't like it, then that's fine. That's pretty much all it comes down to is, like,
And
you
some
have
people
to
have
accept
the mentality that I have, where I don't like a lot of stuff because I really want to like it. So I still see a lot of stuff. Like I'll scroll through and see a bunch of stuff, but it's weird. This like confused people the other day. I was talking about. I was like, oh, I only like things like I really like. Like this better impress me so I can like it. Otherwise, if it's just normal stuff, I'm like, oh, that's cool, and I just keep scrolling.
Yeah.
I don't acknowledge it, and I'm like, I've had people say like, oh, you don't like stuff, or like I'm just like, I don't know. I want to like love it. Like I want this to be awesome. Like nice. I'm gonna like that. It's weird, but I see a bunch of stuff. I just don't like go through with hitting the buttons. But I always tell myself this is the mentality I get in to override that feeling because that feeling you mentioned. Admittedly, like yeah, I get it too sometimes. And to get past, I just say like, hey, that's X amount of more likes than if I didn't do this. So if it's like 100 likes and you were hoping to get 200. Like, hey, that's 100 people that liked something I did versus no one liking something if I didn't do anything at all.
That's a really good way of looking at it.
That's the only way I can justify it. Like the YouTube channel, it's like, oh, there's only 1,000 views on that video. It's like, hey, that's 1,000 times more than if I didn't do it. So it's still, that number's bigger than 0. So
It always goes back down to the saying, like, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
it's kind of where I got it from. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott.
Yeah, Michael Scott.
Yeah, that's where I got it from. Like, kind of got it from. I'm like, you know what? It's off the same concept, but obviously not from that show. And it was just like, hey, whether it's streams on Spotify, views on YouTube, plays on this website, it's still these numbers add up, and it's one more than not doing it. It's one more than that person that's in their room behind their laptop criticizing your work because they don't have any of those things, you know. So it's everything's above 0. As long as it's above 0, I'm doing something right. Someone saw it. So yeah, that's the only way I could justify it. But I could see the numbers messing with your head, especially when you start to grow. If it starts to get big, like my numbers aren't big enough to where that messes with my head at all. But if that number got to where it's like hundreds of thousands or millions, you know, when you see those accounts that have millions and millions, I'm just like, oh my God. Oh, clearly someone else is running this for them.
Yeah.
There's no way Dwayne The Rock Johnson is like running his Instagram, like messaging people back and stuff.
They got like a social media intern or something.
He probably takes a picture on his nice phone and texts it to his assistant and they post it. And he might even say like, write this underneath it. Because think about the messages those people get. Like, I get messages every day on Instagram. I can't imagine what people who have huge profiles get.
I get them, and oh my God, I am so bad at Instagram, like DMs, because I get overwhelmed. You know, I'm an introvert. I like this. I'm probably gonna be so tired after this conversation because just like interacting with people is a lot of energy.
Yeah, I'm sweating usually after these podcasts. My back is like soaked. I'm like hot because you're here for 3 hours just going at it, locked in. I have a question to ask you though because you were onto something, but I have 2 questions to ask you. Do you feel like responsible for always responding to everything that comes your way?
I'd say about 90% of it. Yeah.
And my next question is, and I hope this doesn't sound like I'm intruding.
No.
Are people inappropriate to you on Instagram in any way? Especially guys, because you're a woman and you're an artist and you have enough followers and you make cool stuff. Like, does that ever become a thing?
Well, I do get a lot of spam porn bot DMs.
Yeah, I do too. I just delete those. I deleted 5 earlier today.
It's like every day I look and
every
it's
day.
like one request, you know, and because I have it set up where if you don't follow me or if I don't follow you, you have to request to message me.
Yeah.
And so it's like one new request, and I'm like, okay, who is this? And it's like HTW, like HTTP, like hot ladies, like something, and I'm like, why? You guys gotta just leave me alone. And I swear
know.
it's been about every day for the last like 2 weeks. I don't understand it. And I'm just like, delete. But in terms of like, not that I can remember, and if it has happened, it's so uncommon for me.
Okay.
Like, I don't really get, I've gotten like men who will say stuff like, "You're so beautiful, let's meet up," or whatever, and it's like, "Oh, thank you," and it's like the short thank you, where I'm just like, "Oh, thank you."
Period.
I literally do this thing, yeah, period, where I don't like leading people on. Like, I am very aware of how people will read into everything you say now and do. So like even the emoji choices are very specific.
Mhm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, if like men compliment me or tell me that like I'm beautiful and stuff, I'm usually just like, "Oh, thank you, appreciate it." Like, thank you. Like, I'm just very cordial and like cool.
Sure.
Like, I don't flirt online.
Right.
I never really I've never been like an online flirt, even like with Esteban. You know, like, nope.
Yeah.
Because I'm an awkward person. I'm also not good at flirting, so it's just
I don't know how to flirt either. Maybe it's because we're weird creative people.
Yeah.
That's probably when you said introverted, I was like, really?
Mhm.
You're an artist who's introverted. I never heard that one before.
right.
It's only everything I've ever heard.
I
from
just
an
want to huddle at home and hang out with my pet. Like, I love just being at home, rewatching reruns or whatever,
Mhm.
cooking dinner, and like hanging out with my pets and like hanging out with myself. I love hanging out with myself. I used to not. For a while, I think like earlier in college, I had a hard time doing it, but
hanging out like alone.
because I always had to go out and hang out with some friends. Like,
That's
I
pretty
mean, it's
normal
like,
though at that age.
Now I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Now
Well, COVID made it to where no one wants to do it.
COVID was almost like a little blessing in disguise for introverts. It was just like, oh, I don't have now it's like I had an excuse to be like, oh, COVID, can't go. Like, COVID, we're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
We're going to stay home.
My excuse was just I'm busy.
Yeah.
But,
With, and then with some of the DMs that I get like, like the ones I don't feel responsible responding to, but I do sometimes, are the reactions. So if you post a story and it's like someone reacted with like heart eyes or like the fire, it's like, I think this is a compliment, but like, do I have to say thank you back? I don't know. It's
sometimes
like,
you could just like thumbs up their heart
Yeah.
eyes. The heart eye one is tricky because like I've been trying to do less of those because at first I was doing them and I was like, wait, how is this person perceiving me?
yeah.
Especially when you're doing to a woman, like a female account. Even if you're like, I just like what they posted.
Yeah.
And you're like, the heart eyes, it's tricky. Because then like the heart eyes and the heart are just so tricky depending on the context of it all. Because I'll get them too from men and women. And it's so funny. Like if I post something that's like cute, it's just always like all my female friends like sending hearts and no guys care. When it's just something like sentimental and like emotional, it's so funny. It's always like the same thing over and over again. But like the heart eye thing is, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm gonna try to stick to like, unless I know them and they know I'm just like being facetious, goofy, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to stick to like thumbs ups and like smileys, like that's
That's
it.
what I'm telling you. Is like the emoji thing is like,
It's weird. It's
you
such
gotta
a
be
thing
careful
now.
with them because you don't know how someone's gonna perceive it.
Especially if they're always getting them. Because like if you post something and you don't get a lot and someone gives you a hard eye, it might mean one thing. But if you post something and it's something that gets hundreds and hundreds of likes and you might get like 10 responses on Instagram and they're all hard eyes, then you might start getting annoyed with that. And like, so it might mean something different to you than it does to somebody else. It's weird. And I'm sure from a man to a woman, it's the most challenging thing.
Yeah, it definitely is. Because I mean, even I've gotten hard eyes from males, and I'm just like, I don't know how I want to read this today. Like, oh, again. Then I just go to the thank you, like very.
Or are you
like-
overthinking it? Is that just what everyone does now? Is it just normalized to like when you like something, you just heart eyes it? It's just a heart. Like even messaging when I message people like you on Instagram, artists to come in, guys and girls, a lot of people anybody just hearts. They heart stuff. Like I don't know. It's just
If it's someone I don't know, that's where I question like, what do you?
so
That's
long
where
as
the
you know
difference
them.
is. If I know you and you're doing, I'm like, oh hey, what's up, bud? Like
Yeah.
it's awesome. But then if it's like a male that I've never like even talked to or interacted before, I'm just kind of like, okay, like, because I've gotten asked to like, do you have a boyfriend? Like straight up, though, that's an inappropriate DM that I get like right
Yeah.
away from somebody is like, oh, do you have a boyfriend? And it's like, what is it to you? I don't know who you are. But those are like far and few. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
really happen often. So
I
I
never
don't
been
have
asked
to have
that. I never been asked if I have a boyfriend. That doesn't happen. It's. I'm sure it's much trickier for women. I mean, it's something I like to ask female artists when I have the opportunity to talk to them because it's something I'm fully aware of. Being on the other end of it, well, being a man and being on the side of things where people do message me as well. Trying to think of how to handle it, but a lot of times it's just compliments, just nice things, and it's 99% of the time it's good. Again, being a white man, or as I like to joke, perceived white man because I'm half Mexican. It's always like I just no, it doesn't scare me. I don't feel threatened by anything. So I always wonder what it's like to be on the other end of it when you're just trying to make something creative and put it out there and spread your work, like what you do as a person, and people kind of using that. You're being vulnerable, when you do that. When you create something that comes out of your mind, you put it out into the ether. You're showing people your true self. And when someone takes advantage of that, it's really rough. And it's, something I never want to do. I try to never think about, working with female artists all the time. I try to always keep it at that no matter what. And it becomes tricky because a lot of guys have a hard time with that. And, they'll ask like, oh, you always meet a bunch of women. Like, what's it like? I'm like, I try not to think about it. It's female students, female friends, artists, musicians, bands, thousands of them. I'm just like, I try to just see them as that person, as who they are, which is a woman who creates art. Like, that's it. And it takes a lot of diligence and thinking. You have to think about it. It sounds dumb. It sounds weird. It might even sound creepy. Like, it takes practice to be like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Like, don't say that thing,
I mean, that's great though. Like that you are very self-aware and you are actively, you don't want to disrespect anyone or make them feel uncomfortable because you love working with all types of people. I mean, it definitely is heard of. I've heard many stories, of male artists taking advantage of women.
Yeah.
And it's tough for us because it's like, why can't you guys just be colleagues? Why can't you just be straight up peers? Why do you have to be creeps?
It takes effort. It takes because think about it. If you're a weirdo, I'm going to generalize here. If you're a weird person who's into creating stuff and that's what you've done your whole life, and you meet someone that you think is beautiful and they do creative stuff too, you're like, man, it's a win. Like, that's what I like. So it takes so much effort to be like, no, but that's a colleague, that's a friend, that's someone that I'm maybe even paying to do this, or maybe that's just someone I'm collaborating with, and like they're trying to interface with the world and put their creativity out there, and they've been bothered by guys their whole life. So you don't want to be that person to them, and it takes inward thinking, it takes discipline. It sucks because it just takes discipline. You got to be on top of it. You never want to be that person that does that, and you realize how important it is. Like, what if that was your sister or your cousin or your daughter that was finally breaking out into the world, finally getting followers, finally showing the world what she's been working on for 10, 20 years. And other guys are doing that to her, not giving her the opportunity. So I try not to ever even come close to it. Like, I don't even want to think about it,
I don't think a lot of males or, anyone that wants to take advantage of somebody, I don't think they think that way. And it's like, you wish they would, wishful thinking, right? But it's like, think about if this happened to someone you knew that you really cared about, But not everyone goes there right away.
It's hard. You have to override evolution. You have to override your sex drive, really. And it's hard. It takes time. It takes discipline. It's, when you're working with people in their most vulnerable places, like they're creating music, you're recording them, they're telling the world, you're the medium for them telling the world what they do. And it's like, it's hard. It takes practice and it takes just being respectful. And it also helps to share that information with other men in your life. Like I try to always, without sounding, rude to any people I know, but whenever I hear guys not think this way or talk, I try to just think about it. Imagine if that was your mom or your sister, or your daughter, think about it. Like, not every woman wants to be bothered like that. And most of the time you'll know if they do. If they show that they're interested in you, then it's like,
I
you can go that path.
Why do you gotta try that hard? Like, they'll tell you if they're interested, It's like being catcalled. It's just
I never understood that.
Oh my God. It's just, there's catcall on social media, there's catcall on the street.
Give me an example of catcall on social media, because I don't get catcalled on social media. If I did, I don't even care.
Catcalled are those very unsolicited DMs
Okay.
or messages that you don't want to get.
Yeah, like dick pics.
Yeah, I've totally gotten them.
I could tell by your face. You're just like getting quieter and quieter.
I remember one time, like I woke up to one and I didn't know what the phone number was or anything. And I was just like, I messaged back like, who the fuck are you? Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? Like, I don't understand where I gave you the impression that this was okay / like, who are you to just message
Is
someone
that a
like
felony?
that? I don't know. I don't know if it's a felony unless you're like sending it out to other people or if it's like the age thing.
Huh. I wonder what it is if you're
Should
both
be.
overage, but the person didn't ask for it.
I should be able
It's
to
gotta
report
be
it.
a felony. I didn't know that was such a thing until the last few months because I live under a rock. I live under this table. And I've only just, the more I talk to women about this, I try to be open with it and I try not to pry, but I believe women have just a different insight on interfacing with this existence because of the power dynamic and being preyed on by men, you know? So, yeah, even if a woman sent me the opposite of a dick pic, pussy pic, I don't know what you call that. I don't know if that's a thing yet. But, yeah, it's got to be a thing. But, like, that wouldn't do anything to me. Like, you know what I mean? Because, like, that's not threatening to me. I'm not threatened by that. And it doesn't freak me. It'd be weird. I'm like, okay, what's this about? I guess if it happened all the time, like, could people stop doing this? But it just doesn't mean the same as it does to a man to a woman. It's
Men are scary.
Men are scary.
They're scary. Like, I remember one time I was at a Roald Dahl show in Milwaukee, and I was walking with Nico's girlfriend down the street, and this guy literally opened his car. He was driving in his car, leaned out of his car door. I was like, go back. Leaned out of his car door and was like, hey, yo, girl, let me lick that pussy. And like shouted it as his car was going. His door was open and he was leaning out of it.
Imagine if he hit something.
I just couldn't believe the lengths that this guy went to just to violate my space and
Yeah.
my energy. That's what it feels like. It just feels violating. It feels like you're intruding into my space and you're making me feel very unsafe and uncomfortable because there's so much history of men just doing that. And
Yeah.
you can't walk on the street. Man, when it gets hot outside, it's like stressful.
It happens a lot to you.
It's stressful, yeah, because I'm walking my dogs, you know, and it's like you just see the cars driving by and they're just like following you as their car is going or making like weird noises, like cat calling, literally. And it's happened to me during the summer. Like, it happens every summer. It's like, wow, why can't I just dress for it like it's 100 degrees outside? Why can't I just wear shorts and a tank top and that just be normal? But
Yeah.
men just, I don't understand it. I don't understand the impulse there to do that to a woman.
It's a learned and taught thing. So, like, my dad was never like that. My brother's not like that. My, like, uncle, the men I grew up with weren't like that. And I'm not like that. And most of the people, like, the men I surround myself are not like that. So that's why I'm, like, such under a rock about it. Because I'm like, people do that? What's wrong with them? Like, they have no respect for humans. Like, forget gender. They have no respect for humans. Because not only are you disrespecting the person you're doing that to, but you're disrespecting yourself and your parents that raised you. Like, there's so many things that's going on that, like, it's beyond just, like, hurting. That's important. That's kind of, like, the superficial thing you see. Like, on the surface, you're disrespecting that woman you're doing it to. But, like, what's going on in your world? Like, what woman wants to marry you if that's how you treat people? Would
When
you
does
do that
this
to your
work for
daughter, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's a learned thing. When it goes, like, not undiagnosed, but it goes when people aren't speaking about it and you do it your whole life in high school, junior high school, college, and no one tells you don't do it, that's what you learn. It's what you think. That's what society told you to do. Women want it. It's like women want a man that's probably, if it's a straight woman, she probably wants a man that's just, like, capable. Just like, I feel like men and women want the same thing out of each other. We just have different sexual organs.
Organs and then, like, I think
You know?
the ways of getting what we want out of each other.
But
Maybe.
you want
It's
someone
like-
who's nice, stable, polite, capable, forward-thinking, has a job, can take care of themselves. I don't want a woman who's just, like, isn't doing anything and doesn't want to take care of themselves and doesn't think they're capable of something. So, like, why in the world why would they want to be catcalled? Like, why would that work?
I always ask myself that question, like, in what world did this work for you? When has this worked for you?
It never works. Why would it work?
Yeah.
Like, what kind of woman goes, that guy just yelled at me and told me to show him my tits, so now I want to go on a date with him tonight. you know?
I never understood the impulse.
No.
I mean, if anything, though, like I said, it just creeps me out, and it makes me want to carry, like, a self-defense weapon with me everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? With, like, sex trafficking and stuff like that. It's just really scary being a female or, like, a woman identifying, female identifying person, even non-binary, just anybody that sticks out and then somebody just wants to harass you
Mm-hmm.
and give you these, like, creepy, like, comments and stuff like that. Also, today's International Women's Day. Yay!
March 8th, 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
But yeah, it's just something that's super uncomfortable. And being an artist, I feel like because we have to put ourselves out there more, especially me, like, I have to put myself out there more than I really want to. I wish I could just be at home every day and not really have to worry about this stuff, but I have bills to pay, and I need to make sure that I can also provide myself work that can fulfill that. And you get into that web of, like, being a popular female artist or, like, being a very attractive female artist, so then you get all the creeps to come at you. But the beautiful thing I feel like is right now we're at a time of, sex workers and, like, sexual liberation, and a lot of women are making an income now doing sex work, but they're calling the shots. Like, there's the apps like OnlyFans and even, like, Patreon and stuff like that where women are using that. And, I mean, I have a lot of friends that are doing it, and they love it. I've heard, they get creepy messages from men, but they're able to be like, no, bud. No,
Mm-hmm.
you can't ask for more than what I'm providing you. Like, they're
Yeah.
still calling the shots
Yeah.
in that. And I think that this time, and then just even going forward, like, people are just getting more empowered. And not saying, like, less afraid that a man is going to assault them or harass them, but definitely less afraid to be themselves than probably, like, 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Where slut-shaming was just the hugest thing. And, like, now it's like, no, girl, do you.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter what size you are. Do whatever you want. But still protect yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, protect yourself. Yeah, I never got the slut-shaming thing, ever. Even in, like, high school, when, like, people would say about girls, I'm just like, but you're sleeping with a bunch of girls. It's like, I don't...
Double standard. I don't understand the double standard.
I wasn't sleeping with anybody, so
Mhm.
I had a good middle ground to, like, go both ways and be like, no, screw you. You're both sleeping with too many people, or you're both not sleeping with enough. Like, it was just weird. It's
You
just
got a problem. You're mad about something. You need to go take that somewhere else. Like, that. At the end of the day, that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's just, you're upset about something, and you're taking it out on me.
Mm-hmm.
You need to go address that.
Yeah, it's weird. It's tricky too because, like, there's, like, online dating
Mm-hmm.
and there's a social media, and they're both, like, digital apps. They have a lot of the same functions and features, and it's really weird to, like, have them be separate from each other, especially when you're, like, single and just trying to navigate these things. And it's weird you have to remember that, like, social media is not a dating app. Like, you're not supposed to be out there trying to, like, find someone. You can, like, notice trends of, like, two single people just constantly liking each other stuff. Eventually they might be like, they should just message each other.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like the virtual thing of, you went to an art gallery and you saw a woman there, and then you went to another one, you kept seeing her, and every time you went somewhere over the course of you just kept seeing them. Like, you know what? I keep seeing you. Want to go on a date or something? Or same bars or same concerts or same shows. This is not the new virtual way of that, but because you can't see the person's demeanor, like, how are they acting when they see it? Are they smiling and they wave? You don't have that. So now it's, like, so weird to know, like, what people's intents are through social media. It's blurry. And that's why, like, I try to stay away from all of it and just, like, talk to people in person, because you just don't know. You never know when people are trying to do, what they're trying to get away with. It's got really hard for female artists. And you mentioned earlier, like, female artists that are on the more attractive side, ones that are more comfortable with showing more skin while they're just being artists. Are they getting likes because of that? Is that leading to why their popularity is going? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe,
it's
yes,
tricky.
no. It's tricky, right?
I mean, I noticed if I post a selfie, I get way more likes than my art does.
Yeah.
So, and I know a lot of my colleagues notice that.
Yeah.
It's like, why, when I work and pour my soul into this thing, but I'll spend 10 minutes to take a picture of myself, and you guys seem to appreciate that way more. But then I also realized that the app pushes your pictures way more than it pushes the art, because I'll look at the insights and I'll see the reach, and that's like how many people that the app forwarded my post to. And it's like Instagram sees a face or something, and then they're like automatically like, yeah, that's a face. We want people to like the face and not this digital drawing or like rendering. Yeah.
No, 100%. The most likes I get are always when it's my face, or it seems like my face, or like just like a band, like other people's faces, but not like anything that's not art. I mean, if it's just art and not anything besides people's faces, it gets way less when it's just art. It's annoying.
Yeah. I started using this app called Ello.
What's
and it's like another art app. It's almost like Tumblr combined with Instagram-ish. It's not really like meant for social networking, but it's for online art and for artists of all kinds to pretty much just share their art, and people can like it, and that's it. And then there's artist invites, like there's like contests you can enter, like a lot of brands, even like Snapchat was part of that for 1 second, like Coca-Cola, Pabst Blue Ribbon. They'll post contests, and anyone that's in the app can see that and then submit their work to the contest.
That's cool.
So that's an app I've been trying to be active on using, because the way Instagram's going, like I think I saw something a few weeks ago where it was saying that they're testing a feature where you can't share other posts in your stories.
Why would they do that? That's such a great feature.
Because I think there's two reasons. Well, two reasons that kind of mesh into one, which is one is people were complaining that they were seeing too many posts in people's stories as opposed to, I don't know, what they were eating that day, like live, And I think that because of the riots that recently happened at the Capitol, and then also just with the summer and Black Lives Matter and this whole ordeal between two sides spreading misinformation, not saying either side, like that, I may say that wrong, but misinformation was being spread by people. And I think that was another thing that they were just kind of like, we need to stop letting people do that. But I feel like taking the posts out of the story is not the way to do that. Maybe instead of caring about, like, I don't know, a woman wearing a bikini and taking her post down, you should probably target the false things that are being said instead. Like, I think like the priorities of Instagram are just totally, and Facebook, I mean, they're owned. Now they're merging Messenger with your DMs, I think, or something like that I saw recently. Yeah. They're just trying to make them the same app altogether, just one.
It's a hot mess. I don't even know how long it's going to last for, because Facebook's already it's hated by everybody. Like, I don't know anybody who likes it besides people that are collecting Social Security. My parents. That's what it should be called, a Social Security app.
I miss the good old days where I would just play Farmville and it would just be like...
I just miss when you would just like share something with your friends and make like a Facebook event for like a show, and everyone went, and it was just simplified.
And now it's like paid ads and getting into that territory. And
someone shared an article that had a catchy headline, and then it created a 138 comment thread, 600 likes, 50 shares, goes viral, and it's just a hot mess. Like, I'm just so sick and tired of it.
That's why that's why I started using Ello more, was because none of that pressure's on there. It's almost just like an online portfolio, but people can like it, you can get followers.
Kind of like you said, Tumblr.
Yeah, it feels like a Tumblr. Tumblr's still around. I almost wouldn't even doubt if it made a comeback because of the way Instagram is
Why did
going.
it lose its traction? I feel like it fell off.
Instagram, I think.
Oh, Instagram.
Because a lot of artists were using Tumblr. Oh, and Pinterest.
This makes sense now.
Yeah.
Capitalism. Gotta love it and hate it.
It's such a shame.
It's such a shame because, like, in an ideal world, it works so well, but the world's not ideal. People are greedy. People are evil. In an ideal world, having an incentive behind money to grow works really well until you have Facebook and Amazon and Apple and Google and ExxonMobil and so on. Like, then Tesla. It becomes problematic. And Tesla. It becomes problematic. People shouldn't have that much money. If you do, the people on the bottom clearly are not being paid well enough. Not at all.
No, it's almost insane to think about. Like, when we were younger, we didn't think about those things until you started actually making money and realizing that, hey, I only made 35K this year, but why are my tax rates higher than someone that made like 2 billion? Where does that calculate? Shouldn't the person that makes more money have to give the most back? Like, I don't understand that, you know?
It's people and it's money, and it's about who you know when you're in politics and you're in Washington and you know the right people, and it scales up. Like, think about the time you got a hookup from a friend because you just knew them. Now imagine you're both billionaires and then your one friend's a politician high up in the Democratic Party, and because you're trying to do X, Y, and Z, and they're trying to get something passed, they'll let you slide on something. It's the same thing. It just scales up tenfold. Because people are people, and you're not going to throw your friend under the bus. You're going to hook them up because you guys you've been working together for 20 years, and it's just like what you do in Hollywood, or not Hollywood. Well, it happens in Hollywood too, but it happens in Washington. You see a lot, and nepotism. Nepotism, whether it's family, friends, it's a problem. I don't know any way around it because it's kind of like human nature. You have your tribe, and you help out who you know, and they're just helping out each other. When they're golfing and smoking their cigars, and they're at their beach houses, they're talking about what they're going to do this summer with this new bill coming. Well, if you do that, we'll cut these tax breaks here. And it's like, I don't have an answer. It's complicated.
Yeah, it still is.
Yeah, it's very complicated. The two-party system is complicated. That clearly doesn't work.
Yeah.
It all just doesn't work because there's extremes on both sides, and the people in the middle who just could care less, and it's just all over the place. But
it's like, we just need help, guys. Like, why is that so hard?
People see help as like a handout. It's like, it's not a handout when this was taken all from you.
Oh my God. I see that right now with the whole like student loan forgiveness, is that you'll see a lot of people obviously who are for it, and it's like, yeah, we need help paying these loans back. But then you see other people who are like, why should they get their loans paid for when I had to pay for my loans and paid them off already? Or something like that, along those lines. Like, why should they get help when I didn't get that help?
Because there's a point where it has to be called, and that point is now. In 1928, was someone getting mad that in 10, 15 years from now, their parent or their kid was going to get Social Security for the rest of their life, but they didn't because FDR didn't have it implemented yet. And before that, you just had to save your money. There was no Social Security. That was a turning point. They just had to call it. Like, okay, from now on, we're going to have Social Security. When you turn 65, you get the money put into it. It's like your savings. It's like your retirement. Before that, people suffered and they were poor, and they had to save. And if they didn't save when they were older, they were just really poor and they didn't have help. That was a point. They had to just call it. Like, this is what's going to happen. We're going to do this. Now, this is the point where it's like, yeah, people paid their student loans off before this. People paid hundreds of thousands of dollars before this. That's what it was. It is what it is. But now this is the new thing, and this is what we have to do now. And it's going to be a weird, harsh transition. If you just paid off 80 grand student loans, you're going to be pissed. But it's the future we're investing in. It's the sanity of 25-year-olds who have 100 grand in debt because they were misinformed about everything. What they were told they can go to school for, you can't get a good job in. X, Y, and Z. The lies, the business behind the secondary education system. It's like, I work for it and I see it and I know what it's about, and I'm just like, I wish there was a way that we could have that freedom of expression, which is like being a professor, being able to explain stuff and have that freedom of going there without worrying about being canceled by a student, which is a whole thing.
That's one of my fears right now, is unintentionally being canceled for something. Like, especially again, like as an artist, it's like I've seen fellow artists that I've known in the past get canceled, and it's like,
canceled for what?
Rightful reason, being very shitty towards a woman.
Okay.
But but even something that maybe you might not think is a big deal, right? Maybe you made a mistake 10 years ago for something, and then all of a sudden your whole career is just like...
That's the key word, though. Mistake. Mistakes happen. Forgiveness should be granted to everyone. We forgive ex-convicts who committed heinous crimes because they went to prison and served their sentence, and now they're deemed fit for society. It's like, well, why can't you forgive someone who said the wrong word when they were like 21 years old and now they're 50? It's like, they probably don't use that word anymore. They probably realized... In fact, that word could have been relative to the context of their upbringing and the time and place in which they came from. And it was a word used all the time, and no one knew any better. And now they know they don't use it anymore. You're gonna blame them for that? It's like that's been going on for all of history. Talk to someone who's 85 years old for a couple hours. See what kind of things they start saying.
Oh my God.
You're gonna cancel them because they grew up in a time when that's what was common use. It's one thing to make a mistake and learn from it. It's another thing to just keep doing it or not feel guilty about it. Be like, yeah, I don't use that anymore only because I can't, but I actually still want to. That's a different ballgame.
Yeah.
Or just canceling people left and right. It's like, first of all, I have not met one person on this planet that hasn't made a heinous mistake in their life. And heinous is subjective, but I'm talking saying inappropriate things, saying rude things, saying something misogynistic, racist, homophobic, bigoted. Like, go to high school in 2005, like I did, and like you might have been a year or two younger, but like that's how people spoke. It's all everyone did, and we were a bunch of idiots, just a bunch of teenage boys who came from lower working class, blue collar families, and that's how everyone was. Everybody. So much so that you didn't even know about this stuff. Twitter wasn't there to inform you. Podcasts weren't there to enlighten you. This stuff wasn't all over YouTube, wasn't a thing. Instagram, none of this stuff. No one was there to be woke and tell you what you should and shouldn't say. You're just living there. No cell phones. No one was there to capture it. And you heard someone call someone gay, and then that's what you thought you should just call people who aren't cool. Obviously, we know that's messed up to do because you're calling something... You're calling something that isn't cool someone's identification, like what people feel at their core, who they are.
Yeah.
It's a very mean and cruel thing to do. But that's what everyone did. It's in movies. Watch 40-Year-Old Virgin, and it's in that movie. It's like that's what the culture was. So like, as long as you grew and learned from that, you don't do it anymore. You shouldn't be canceling people for that stuff.
Yeah, it's who recently got canceled? Eminem recently got canceled.
Did he? Can you
by Gen Z? Yeah.
I heard that last night. My friend, my roommate's just like, Eminem's been trying to get canceled for 22 years. Like, have you not seen his? Like, what he would say about Christina Aguilera and whatever and Moby and just his lyrics. It's like he's been trying to be, like, people have been trying to cancel him forever.
Yeah.
He's a white rapper. Man's been trying to be canceled forever. It's like, he's got to be so hard to cancel. I mean, that man, it feels like everything he says is an open book. I don't even know.
Yeah, he does not hold back in anything.
What did Jay-Z, why do you want to cancel?
He got canceled. Oh, right now Gen Z's canceling him because the Love You Way You Lie song with Rihanna. He said something about like tying her up. And I saw something on TikTok which was like, that's the one you chose? Like, that's one of the things he said that you guys chose to cancel him for? Because he said way worse things. But I don't know if I feel like it's a train too.
Wait, hasn't Jay-Z done some heinous illegal stuff?
Oh yeah, he also cheated on Beyonce. So
but didn't he like commit a lot of really violent crimes when he was younger, growing up? I that's what I've heard.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Everyone's done some stuff.
Yeah, they have. I mean, if you're going to be a multi-millionaire hip-hop artist and you're in your 50s, chances are coming up, you probably came from some rough stuff and probably did some stuff, Anybody coming up in the arts, you usually start from nothing. I mean, why else would you choose that field?
Yeah.
You're trying to express yourself. You have no other hope. It's all you know. And you did some stuff to get there, good or bad, righteous or not. I mean, people should be held accountable.
Yeah.
There should be conversations about it, but to just go on there because it's easy to hit Control Delete. It's easy to just go boom because it's through a screen. Have
you watched that documentary that just came out on Netflix recently about the Cecile Hotel? What is it called? But it's about this girl that went missing. And, she went to the Cecile Hotel, and it turned out she had bipolar disorder and had an episode and ended up drowning herself in one of their water tanks. But before that was solved, they called them the web sleuths, who were these people who, like, jumped on and just gave death threats to a guy they thought who did it and, like, put him into a suicidal state because they thought he did it. And it's just things like that, like, where these people just pile on and start handing out death threats and like, I'm gonna go get you and stuff. And it's like, you're sitting at a computer in like Tulsa, like you're not gonna go and get this guy. But like people get so vicious online. And that's what like terrifies me. Like if I ever came into that situation, and it's just like, you can't stop these people. They just come flooding in like just, you're terrible, you're this, you're that, without even having all the context.
The Twitter mob. Yeah, post and ghost, just post and like walk away from it. And like, it's all you can do. I'm just like, I mean, I don't know. I know who I am, and I feel like everyone who knows me knows who I am. And same thing with you.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably aware. Like, there's nothing I should be canceled for.
I don't think so. I'm
Yeah,
literally just like, but that's the thing is that I think what's the term? They're like, some people might take something too sensitively, right? I don't know what I did or what I could have done, but it's just like that's a possibility now
Yeah,
for anybody.
For anybody.
For anybody, it's a possibility.
Any popularity, any amount of money, it could still happen to you because people are angry, they're sad, they're lonely, they're jealous. They just want to go after stuff. I don't get it. I don't have that mentality at all. I can't relate. I don't know where it comes from. It's just kind of like the same thing with people who get road rage, who get mad at a store when someone's like taking too long to check out. Those types of people. Those are the ones.
That happened to us like 2 days yesterday at
What?
Target. Because the Target app was like confusing. They had signs, right? Like buy the t-shirts and shorts and you get 20% off. But you have to download the Circle app. But there's no instructions on like how to get that coupon. So we're trying to figure it out, but the people that worked at Target couldn't even figure it out. And it's like, I know there has to be a code here somewhere so that you can apply this coupon. And there's a lady behind us, and she's like, so should I just wait here? Do I have to wait? How long do you think this is going to take? Like, and it was just, we're there, like, trying to work with the coupon, like, okay, we're trying to do this. But that, like, kind of happened to us yesterday, which was like, she's like, should I just go to another register?
Mm-hmm. That happens a lot at stores. Whenever I notice it happens, it seems like a middle-aged woman doing it. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that where the whole Karen thing comes from?
Yeah. Can I speak to a manager? Like, this is not moving promptly enough for me.
As a person who's not working at the store and who's like, I'm just so patient and passive, I don't really care what's going on. I love when that stuff happens because I just love the stare. I just sit there and smile and stare. I'm like, you realize you sound like a child right now. Like, you're 50 years old, and you sound like a kid who's throwing a temper tantrum.
Man, all those videos that came out this summer.
What happened this summer?
All those videos of the Karens, it was
I was outside. I didn't look at anything this summer. I don't know what happened.
With the movement, the civil rights movement and stuff,
yeah,
there was a lot of really nasty people, disrespectful, like women going out of their way to be disrespectful. And it's just, you sit there and you're like, who made you mad? Like, why are you so
why
nasty?
were women, all right.
Like older women,
Let's see. Humor me.
Karens.
Okay. Karens.
Yeah.
Do you think that happened because the spotlight was taken off them for a summer? For a week?
Yeah.
For a month? For a year?
I think it was that and, the whole mask. It was even the people who would refuse to wear masks. It was just a mixture of whether they were being racist and inappropriate or they didn't want to wear a mask and they felt like their rights were being taken away or something. And so all these videos were just circling around throughout like the summer and stuff, and it was just women and you just watch it, and there's a reason why these go viral is because it's so ridiculous. Like, they're being so ridiculous to throw these tantrums and be so mean to people and call names and slurs and just say, like, well, my rights are that I don't have to wear a mask. Like, my rights are not going to be taken away and stuff like that. And it's like, no one's taking away your rights. We just want everyone to protect each other. I don't understand why that's so hard.
Yeah.
To, like, why is that such an outlandish ask to just be considerate for 2 hours while you're grocery shopping? And
people want to have their control. They want to be able to put their foot down and say what they want and feel like they're on top of things, and no one could say anything to them. No one wants to work together to accomplish a bigger goal that's more than yourself, because it takes discipline and effort, forward thinking, dedication. It's hard. Life's crazy.
yeah.
It's crazy because at the core of it, you realize that there really is no right answer because it's too nuanced. There's too many variables. Like shutting down the whole economy and world, not the whole economy, but a huge chunk of it, especially stuff in the arts, music, creative stuff. It's a huge part of what keeps the economy going. And also it's a huge part of what keeps the mentality of human beings going. Because say you're an artist and someone else has a 9-to-5 job. What they do in their leisure, what they do to keep their grounds and their sanity is look at your art. Listen to so-and-so's music. Come to my concert. listen to this podcast. They take other people's art to keep balance in life. It's what people do for fun. They go to the movies. They listen to music. They listen to a podcast. They go to a show.
Shopping.
They go shopping, which is design and fashion by other artists.
Mm-hmm.
The architecture of the building in which they are in is an art form.
You eat food.
You eat food, which is culinary arts. Like there's art everywhere. And I hate when people neglect the funds that should go in it for the government, the education system.
Oh my God, yes.
It's like, you realize this is a yin yang thing. Like we need all this. Like you want to have this beautiful world we call Earth and have all these great things on it. Like then you need the art. You need the architecture. You need the music. You need the pub that has the band play with the art.
You need the landscapers to put all those beautiful flowers in your
Everything.
mansion's front yard.
All of it.
It's like
All of it is art in its own way. And to just neglect that, it's really sad. And everyone should have masks on or protect each other or have something in front of them to save them currently. But then we also have to do something about like the money, the economy. Like you said, a big thing that stressed you out this whole year was the topsy-turvy of your career, the jobs that probably wouldn't have been so problematic if this never happened, right?
yeah.
Like where were you a year ago right now before it all went down?
I was working at Uber.
But it's still something.
Yeah, I had a job.
You had
And
a
then
job.
with COVID, it was like, oh, so we can't afford 3,500 of you guys. You got to go. And even though it was crazy, as I worked for the Uber Eats sector, and that was the most profitable sector because everyone was ordering food.
Mm-hmm.
But they still made cutbacks and stuff like that. And it's fine. I'm way better off without that job. It was like filling in a blank for a bit just to make sure I had steady income. And it's after that experience, it was like, I don't want to do that again. So finding a job has been really hard because of PTSD from all that stuff. But just thinking about like the funding and how the youth is the most important. They should be prioritized for our future to keep things going. And it's like they want to take art away from them, like not funding it. I remember when I was in high school, they dropped our art funding immensely, and we only ended up with like 2 art teachers. And there used to be like 8. And they was like, nope, we can only afford like 2 of them now. And it's like I remember when I was in a senior and I was taking my AP art class, the AP kids had to sit in the back, and then she would simultaneously teach a basic arts class at the same time. So she was teaching 2 art classes at the same time because she was the only teacher. So I just think that, like, why would you take that away from children? Like, they need that. Not everyone can draw. Not everyone can paint, or, at least they think that. Everyone can do it. But
in some way, shape, or
yeah,
form.
you have the ability to stroke some paint on a piece of paper. Maybe it's not as great as you want it to look, or it's not what you're envisioning, but you can do it. And I find that it's therapeutic. It's extremely therapeutic for everybody.
Forms of expression are highly overlooked. And it's weird, like, you always get the stigma, not you, but the general artist gets the stigma of, like, oh, you look interesting, you dress weird, you say out there stuff, and you make stuff. Oh, you're an artist. You're, like, the weird, quirky artist type. It's like, I know plenty of people who have that mainstream look, clean-cut hair and beard, wear nice clothes, they look like they're an accountant, but in their spare time, they're working on a script. Or they like to write poetry when they're at the Starbucks and no one's looking, they like to doodle in their book. Or they go on websites and look up illustration art. Or they secretly they do something. And they do this, but they're too ashamed because of the pressure of society saying, like, oh, when you're an artist, you're a loser, or you're weird, or you're not going to make it. So they keep all that stuff and they don't talk about it. And I see it a lot with people, all different types of people. And you realize, like, at their core, everyone has a place where they want to have a form of expression. Sometimes because they think they're not good enough at it because they've been holding other people who are better at a higher level. So like, I can't do what they do. It's like, but what they do is what they do. You do what you do. And you're never going to be what they do. I'm never going to be Kanye West. It's like, but that's fine because he is that and I'm me. So you have to do what you do. But it comes from a place of reassurance and self-conscious, having the art teacher to be like, oh, keep working at it. Having the parent that says, like, keep doing it. Like, yeah, I'll pay for, lessons, take an extra class. Maybe I'll pay for you to go to the local park district and take painting lessons. Just something. And again, painting's always a cliche one because that's like the epitome of artist. Like, oh, I'm a painter, I'm an artist,
palette.
But there's plenty of stuff you can do that's creative. It's like
Baking.
banking. Banking?
Baking.
I said banking. I was like, I'm really good at creative numbers. I'm a good banker. Baking, yeah.
Baking is a great one.
Yeah, making cookies.
Mm-hmm.
Making cakes.
I just like have not met anyone that doesn't appreciate having a fun cupcake day.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
it's just so much fun.
Food, anything.
Gardening.
Anything,
Yeah.
anything to express yourself. And in standard society, we call that a hobby. And it's for a reason. It's to let go of steam. It's to get things out. It's to take the parts of your brain that you can't get. You can understand waking up at 8, getting to work at 9, doing your work, coming home at 5, dinner. You can get all that. That stuff makes sense. It's very routine. It's very mathematical and laid out. But what happens with the in-between stuff, the things where you daydream and you think about this, or you watch a Netflix movie and you're inspired by that, where does that go? If you don't have a funnel for it and you're not expressing yourself, maybe that's where all that hate on Facebook comes from, or that Karen at Target yelling at you comes from. Maybe that's where these things come from, people not expressing and letting it out and putting that putting that energy into a box it doesn't fit into, and that box erupts in anger,
Mm-hmm.
It bulges out of the sides because it's not supposed to go in there. It's supposed to go here. And people are,
just bottles up.
They're bottling up in the wrong bottles.
Repressing all those feelings, just bottles up.
And, I mean, it happens to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
It happens to me too, but I try my best to just throw it all out there and just, like, hold nothing back and try not to make those mistakes. And any of the outbursts or the anger, make it less and less. And just kind of get it to where it's so small, it's negligible in your life. It means nothing. But, I see it a lot in people that they should be expressing themselves more in a healthier way, and they're not. They're doing it in the wrong way. They're drinking too much. They wanna. If they could, they'd punch a wall every night. Like they're not getting out their emotions in the right way, and they're getting it out through typing on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter.
I wish the therapy was more accessible for people.
And looked at better.
Yeah, I just think
stigma.
about how it should be normalized, and like in school, we had guidance counselors.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a therapist. That's not anything. That's someone that's gonna help you make sure you apply for college or something. I'm thinking about high school. I didn't have anything like that. In college at Columbia, we had the counseling center. You got 12 free sessions of essentially free therapy. Yeah, you got 12 free sessions a semester of free therapy, and that's where I started off. I was seeing a counselor at Columbia when I started to learn about my anxiety and stuff like that.
Do you find that the biggest thing you extrapolate from therapy is just the fact that you get to just say what's going on in your head out loud to somebody?
Yeah, and
without being judged, you get to just say it.
Yeah.
Maybe not even the feedback is what you need. Just being able to I felt so sad yesterday. I didn't want to get out of bed, and I even contemplating just start not even eating. I could even have food. You might be feeling that, but to just say it to another adult who doesn't judge you and looks at you and goes, and then asks more questions. Well, X, Y, and Z. I've never been to a therapist, but the thing that's ever helped me with pain, suffering, depression, anxiety, insomnia, a breakup, all of it has just been talking to people, talking to friends. And that's where these walks have been great. Because if my friend who walks with me doesn't come with, I just talk in my head. I work out through all the things that are bothering me in my head for an hour and 15 minutes while you're breathing a certain way and exerting energy as far as physically moving. And if they are there, then I'm just talking to them, and you have that, you get to vent, you get to talk about someone that broke your heart or something you're mad about, or how am I going to pay that bill? And they're just there to take it in and just let you know, talk about it. And you're out there and out in the phone's not on you, and you're just out there in the wilderness. No one's recording you. You can't get canceled for venting about something. It's just real. It's being a person. And it's the same thing with having a therapist. It's just the person I'm talking to doesn't have a PhD or an MD. But you know what I'm saying? I think people just need more of that. You need someone to talk to, a friend, your parent, being open. Don't be ashamed of who you are. And,
That's why I think it's important for younger, especially teenagers. I wish I had a therapist when I was a teenager, because not only was there a lot going on because, hormones in high school and all this stuff going on, but also even in personal, a lot of people's family lives were very chaotic, And I feel like having someone that was accessible to me to be able to talk to about that would have been really helpful, instead of me learning over 10 years later how certain events that had transpired when I was younger are affecting me now at 28.
Yeah.
I love my therapist. Like, I can't say it enough, and I tell everyone all the time, I love therapy. Not only because I can say stuff, without like the hesitation of feeling judged, but your therapist's job is to help you essentially analyze and kind of come to reason and rationality with the things you're saying or the things that had happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had counselor at Columbia, and then I had I went to hypnotherapy after that. I had about 4 sessions of hypnotherapy.
What made you want to try that?
I was dating someone that kind of put me in a really bad place. And I had really bad I got like almost like trauma, like PTSD, because I was slut shamed. And it really effed me up. Like I didn't want to talk to any males. I didn't want to do anything. And so I had to go see a hypnotherapist to help my thought patterns and like talk to my subconscious to not associate things with certain actions or thoughts. After that, I saw an actual therapist, a counselor, and then I didn't really like her very much, so I stopped seeing her. And then I ended up going to another therapist in 2017 after having a very big like anxiety PMDD like breakdown. And then I ended up meeting my therapist now, who's number 4. Right? Yeah, I think he's the 5th person I've seen, maybe 4th, 5th, and this person works. And so what I tell people is that not every therapist you see is going to be the right one for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like friends. You have to wait until you find that right person. But if you're ever talking to a therapist and you see them a few times, but you're feeling like you're not feeling it. You're not feeling good after your session. You're not feeling like, oh man, like I can't wait to talk to them. Like if you're not feeling that, like that, just like a good friend, then maybe you should try looking for someone else, because I've heard stories of people sticking with their therapist just because they thought they had to, and it didn't really work out very well for them. Because a therapist is not supposed to be judgmental or whatever, but there's some out there that still do that. Will still find a way to make you feel bad about something. So you have to be careful and also just like be aware of who you're talking to. And again, just recognizing like, do I feel confident in this person? Can I trust them? Or are they making me doubt myself? That's a big thing. If they're making you doubt yourself, like confusing you, I don't think that that's like okay.
Yeah. Yeah, like they're supposed to be there to guide you and positive reinforcement, help you question things about what you're going through. But I've never seen one, but it reminds me of like how your parents should be. The closest people in your life, your parents, your friends, they shouldn't be there to belittle or judge you or put you down, but like help. And even just like a good, positive, constructive criticism, like say you're trying to like quit a drug, right? Like at a certain point, if your friends care about you enough, they should be like, dude, you should stop. Like it's enough like sugarcoating it, just stop. And like that's just tough love, but like how are they saying it? Are they being mean about it? Or are they going like put their hand on you, tell you they love you, and be like, man, you're a great person, but there seems to be a pattern. Like you should think about, like reflect on maybe not doing that. Versus like, dude, you're such a loser. You should just like kill yourself or like stop doing that. Like what's your problem? Like those are the type of friends.
Your life. What are you doing?
Yeah, just belittling you. Like you're just ruining. You're such a menace to everything around you. That doesn't work. Just like you wouldn't want a therapist to do it, or your parents. So like the best thing about my parents is they never did that stuff. They never, all the weird and wacky stuff I did, they were never like, oh, you're such a this and that. You messed up. I can't. They'd always be like, listen, you're a good person. Just like you got to work on this and that. Like try this and that. And like that's what makes a good parent. I've heard parents not support their kids, be very mean to them, rude, verbal abuse. And kind of like you said, your ex-boyfriend, like something about slut shaming. It's like someone's dating someone, why would they do that? Like why would you treat someone that way?
Yeah.
Force them to think something or kind of get in their head about who they are, It's really mean. And I don't know, it's happened to me too. I've had that happen, past people, relationships, just kind of like get in your head about the stuff they say, make you think a different way. And you're like, I don't understand. Like I thought I was okay. I thought I was good. Why are you doing this to me?
Yeah.
Usually takes hindsight to realize that. Some form of therapy. For me, it was just talking to people, coming to the realization, like, yeah, that was messed up. That's not really, that wasn't reality. I shouldn't be thinking that way. Do you think being an outwardly creative person comes with the baggage of something being skewed in the brain? Do you think that's just it's a byproduct of being okay with being creative or wanting to be creative? And I'm only saying that because I relate to it. I'm not saying it to bestow on anybody else or belittle the fact. I could just admit, like, I try to put out a lot of creative stuff, and I know I got a wacky brain. So, like, is that just what happens when you're creative?
Yeah.
I don't
No,
know.
I mean, I sometimes I feel like a Van Gogh. I don't know, like I feel like it just kind of comes with. I think I'm so creative because I'm so sensitive and I'm so emotional and also like, what's the word I'm thinking of? But very much aware, just
self-aware,
self-aware and aware of
surroundings,
everything.
Yeah.
Like I'm very observant.
Okay.
I'm an overthinker. I have obsessive thought patterns and stuff like that, and I think that having my mental like issues contributes to my creativity because then it's like that's what my feelings come from. That's what fuels them. And also weird. I am weird. I have a wacky brain. Like my thoughts patterns can go very weird sometimes, but that's just where my imagination comes from. That's how I am creative, is because I can think outside the box and I can think in different directions as opposed to just like up and down or whatever. I remember like I think about this a lot, but I remember like not like questioning my existence at a young age, but I remember like being maybe like 7 or 8 and having those thoughts of like, there's a big world and universe outside of me and I can only read my own thoughts. It's like, I don't know what it was, but I just remember having this thing of like, I only know what's going on in here, but there's so much going on like in the world around us, and it's like, why am I here? Like the fact that I can think right now and that I'm alive, I don't know. So it's like having like weird thoughts of like questioning reality and stuff like that, and not even in a negative or sad way. It's just like,
Curiosity.
Very much so.
You've
Very
always
curious.
been a curious person. How things work. Why do they work?
I love that show, like How Stuff Works. I love anything like that. I love
Me
watching
too.
all those
Discovery
documentaries.
and History Channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, Modern Marvels, How Things Work. Yeah. Yeah,
Mythbusters.
like you said, Mythbusters, like the scientific analyses and scientific data gathering and scientific hypotheses of how things work, coupled with the creative part of how to achieve them, such as like Mythbusters, science in general, the arts. That's why I love recording, because it's such a scientific thing to take sound, and put it into this and then have it come to here. But like what you can put through that is creative stuff. And like I just love both of them.
I like to think of anything I do as like a science experiment. I like to test out different things. Like anytime I make something, it doesn't end up the way I initially think about it. Because as I'm working on it, I'm like, oh, well, let's try this. Let's try a little bit of that. Like it's all improvisation. In some form, in some way, and then it's like, here's the result. Like I experimented with these filters or these colors, and I'm just testing out all this stuff, and then I get the final result at the end. That's how I like to think about it. It's not really like a clear-cut process for me. It's all experimenting and just playing and having like a good time with it.
And when do you know when it's complete?
It's a good question. I don't have like a concrete answer for that, but I think it's just a feeling where it's like I'm satisfied with it.
Do you fall under the belief that like art's never finished, it's abandoned?
I never heard that, but that makes... Sometimes I revisit old stuff, and I could... Honestly, if I had like any of these, I have to kind of tell myself it's done. But I don't think it is done.
So it's abandoned.
It's
So
abandoned,
you do
yeah.
believe that.
I guess I never thought
You
about
never
it
heard
that way.
one, huh?
No,
It's
I
a
never
pretty
thought
common
about
phrase.
it that way.
Art's never finished, it's abandoned. At least I think it is. I've heard it a lot. I feel that way when doing anything. You gotta know when to call quits. It can always get better. But I think that's natural for humans to want to always be better. But the problem is, what does that better represent? What path are you on that you're thinking that? And that's where it gets crazy, because If someone has a mental illness and their perception of reality is skewed, then what they think is something to be better could be not good, not right. It could be something really demonic, bad, evil. You know, it's complicated. And the things I've learned about working with a lot more artists and talking to a lot more artists over the last decade or so is how real and prevalent like mental illness is, especially amongst like creative people.
Yes.
It's interesting to see the correlation of so many people I know who are creative have like on a spectrum of mental illness. It's everywhere. Or maybe it's just that they're more open, okay with talking about it because they're creative. They're more comfortable just voicing their thoughts. So they might just talk about it more. But really, a lot of people have these issues. It's just that creative people that are used to being in this place where they have to put output are okay with just talking about it. You know, maybe they talk about it in their lyrics. If they write songs, maybe they talk about it in their artwork. Maybe they talk about it on a podcast. Maybe they talk about it through self-expression. When you see someone who has oddly colored clothes with different color hair and tattoos, not saying you, I'm talking about a lot of creative people, you can just draw the conclusion like, well, they're clearly trying to be loud about something. Like they're okay with just being who they are. You know, they're just out there in the world and being who they are.
I think that, like, especially now with social media and, you know, the wokeness and everyone being more willing to provide information to everyone and not as afraid. Because mental illness, like 5-10 years ago was nowhere near talked about even as it is today.
No.
And even like my parents at first couldn't accept it. When I started to show signs of depression and anxiety, it was just like, well, just get out of bed. Just go get it over with. And it was like hard for them to get how I was feeling. They just thought I was being lazy, and that I was being dramatic, when in reality I was really hurting inside. And it was hard for me to get them to understand that until, you know, like with my mom, she comes from, you know, old school Mexican family, conservative, you know, they don't talk about their feelings. No one talks about their feelings, but now
They drink them.
yeah, they drink them, they eat them, they dance them away. Like nobody.
Or they hit.
Yeah.
They abuse.
Yeah, I'm fortunate that I didn't deal with any physical growing up, but you know, I did. You know, my dad had a big thing with guilt tripping, so I did get that a lot. And but he was also abused when he was a kid, and that's the thing is that I remember when I told him that I was developing anxiety and depression, I was like, Dad, I think you have anxiety and depression. He denied it, denied
Well,
for
men
years.
never want to admit that, especially adult men, especially adult Mexican men. You know,
Yeah, for years he denied it. And then maybe like up until a couple years ago, he was like, yeah, I just get a lot of anxiety at night. Like, yeah, I'm feeling, you know, whatever. Like my dad has really bad insomnia. Never addressed it. Just thought it was normal. No, like you have quote unquote like demons keeping you up at night. Like you just have a lot that you went through. You went through a traumatic life, and that still keeps you up at night to this day. But you never addressed it until only a couple years ago, because me always informing them about what I'm going through, I think that it's great that they've started realizing things about themselves. Like my mom is an anxious person. She didn't think she was or admitted it before because it was always seen as like, oh, like an insult or something really terrible, when it's actually extremely common.
It's very common amongst humans in modern day societies because, I mean, I have no full scientific proof of this, but I'm under the belief through my own experience anecdotally and others that anxiety is because you're not taking away enough energy from your body and mind to negate the racing ability to survive evolutionary as a person. So if you're just like living a sedentary lifestyle, not putting enough output out there, then where is all of that trying to survive go as a human, as a human species? Where does it go? Well, it manifests into insomnia, to using drugs, because you're not, so pretty much like physically exerting yourself and mentally exerting yourself. So like working all day on things you enjoy doing, physically getting tired could help maybe not get rid of full-fledged anxiety, because sometimes it's just a genetic thing and it's the way your neurochemistry works, but it could definitely suppress and bring it down a lot. I could drop it down a lot, because I used to have terrible anxiety and I used to stay up all night and I couldn't sleep. And I did that from probably like 16 till It got a bit better in the last couple of years, but I'd say 16 up until the last few years, maybe like 12, 13 years. Bad sleeping habits. And then I just shift everything about me, fasting, diet, productivity, exercise, everything, and it all stopped. And now I fall asleep in 5-10 minutes. I don't think about anything, and I just go straight to sleep. I never thought that was possible. I thought when people said that, I was like, you were blessed with the lucky gene. I don't know what that feels like. And it doesn't happen anymore. But I had to do so many things to get to that. I had to change my whole life to get to that. It took years of practice. Anytime I heard anybody say something that worked for them, I took that and put it into my toolbox. I was like, all right, do that. All right, don't do that. Do this. And I just came up with my own plan, and it works for me. And it requires, no drugs. Not that there's anything wrong with taking drugs if you need the right drugs for your brain. It requires no official therapy. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but if you need that. But for me, it requires me to just keep these things going, and I have this balance.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's my anxiety theory. And then the depression theory, I feel like, is not enough physical and emotional, mental touch. And, how do you get touch emotionally? Well, it's through, like, words. Like, hey, Deanna, I like your artwork. I think you're very talented. I like that tattoo. That's very cool. Like, more of those things need to be said to people.
Mm-hmm.
And that could bring your self-esteem up, dopamine hits up, anxiety and depression down. And I think sleeping better and having better health can lead to a better lack of serotonin levels going down. More sunlight leads to less serotonin levels going down and dopamine going down, but have them going up when you get more sunlight. And I think there's a lot of things you can do in your life to bring depression, anxiety down. Again, there's some people who have they're predisposed to it, and that's unfortunate. But these things can still help with that. You might still need to see a therapist, and you might still need to take some form of a pharmaceutical medication, but maybe you'll need less of it. Maybe your milligrams will go down. Maybe while you're on them, you'll feel a certain way. And this fast-paced society that your parents have been in, my parents have been in for a long time, where we're not told to talk about stuff. We're not showed a lot of love. We're not shown the right amount of hours a day that we should work out. We have poor diets because of fast food. Like, these things, I think, have led to this massive break in anxiety and depression over the last many decades that people keep talking about. I've never heard so much depression and anxiety talk for a good reason. It's good that we're more open about it, but I feel like I haven't heard this much talk about it ever before in my life. I can't tell if it's because we're more open or because it's just getting worse because of Instagram, the likes. What is it like for when we were in high school? What year did you graduate?
2011, yeah.
Okay, so I was 08. So when I was in high school, the anxiety that women had was relative to them and their group and the student body there, and it was fashion. Did you go to Hollister or did you go to Aeropostale? Did you go to the thrift store or did you go to Walmart? And that's where it ended, right? Now, it's the whole world is in your face, and your face is in the whole world.
Oh,
That's
you only
Instagram.
have 50 Instagram likes?
So what does that do to the young girls now?
Yeah.
And the young boys?
Filters.
And the filters. What's going to wake of that? Like, what is in the wake of doing that to young girls and young boys, 14, 15, 16, not only comparing themselves to the kids in their class at high school, but now to the whole world. And these likes, it's scary.
It did really used to remain in just your
posse,
classrooms, your
group.
posse.
Yeah,
I mean, I got one of my favorite bullying stories is from MySpace. I got bullied in 8th grade over a boy because he liked me, and these girls were really mad about it. They were pressed. So they all ganged up on me. They had the whole gym class somehow. They got them to avoid me. They threw glue balls in my hair. They made me cry. Like, they were just so mean to me because this boy liked me. And I liked him back. Like, I had known him since I was in kindergarten. It was just so innocent. Like, it was so whatever.
Why would they do that?
And because one of them had dated him for like a month and was pissed, like jealous, and then another one who was my best friend decided that she liked him too, so she went to that side. It was insane. And summer went by. We literally dated for like a week and a half. Like, it was nothing. We talked like 2 times. Like, it was they did all that for nothing, basically. And then high school, a month into high school, I got called by this boy who was like, so when are we gonna hook up? When are we gonna make out and do the thing or whatever? And I'm just sitting there like, What are you talking about? When did we have this conversation? He said I told him on MySpace. I go on MySpace and I log into my account and I get a friend request from me. And I see the friend request and it's a fake MySpace profile. They took all my pictures and put them on there. And then even in the pictures commented, hey guys, don't I look like Scooby-Doo? They put a picture of Scooby-Doo on there. The whole wallpaper was pornographic images. They put a whole write-up about how I like to touch myself and I like to do things. They put my phone number
and you're
on
like,
there.
This is when you're 15?
14.
14 this happened. So this is like 2008, 9, 8?
7.
So 7?
Mm-hmm.
Did they get in trouble? Did you report them?
I didn't, well, because the thing is I can't say for sure who did it, but I knew it was them.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those
Yeah.
things where I know it was you guys because you're the only people who have been messing with me.
Did they ever say anything to you about it?
One girl apologized to me like a year later. Didn't even directly address that situation, but apologized for being so mean to me.
Did any of them ever in life apologize for that?
No.
Wow. If I did that to somebody, I would definitely reach out to them and say, like, I can't believe I did that.
Yeah, it was.
But should they get canceled now? That's cancel right there, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
No, I'm saying, but like, do you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? People make mistakes because they're 17 or 15-year-old girls.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to hold them accountable for some stupid crap they did? That was messed up. They did that to you. That's
Mm-hmm.
really messed up.
So I can only imagine what people are doing now, though.
Oh, it's way worse.
That was MySpace.
It's so
Like,
easy
really it
to
is, and now
just
it's
make
like,
fake stuff and mess with people now.
Mm-hmm.
It's really messed up.
Yeah, it's easy to make fake accounts and harass people and
Mm-hmm.
message them. I mean, a good friend of mine was getting harassed by the girlfriend of her ex-boyfriend for years. And she literally has like hundreds of screenshots of all the
Mm-hmm.
fake accounts this girl would make to just call her names and try and bring her down, even though she's not even with the guy anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just, there's some sad people out there.
Mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
Very sad. Misinformed. Their parents weren't around to help them, guide them with stuff. It's so complicated. The internet's
Mm-hmm.
opening up all that.
Yeah, that's like a whole world of like how complicated people can be. And this is where it goes back to I wish that I want a world where therapy is accessible, even more accessible to people and not so expensive and just doesn't seem like something so outlandish for people to do. Like, I feel like it should be a normal thing for like students, for example. Maybe you have your weekly half-an-hour therapy session at school. Like, you're going to go visit your counselor or whatever. Like, why does that seem like something that's so outlandish?
Mm-hmm.
Why? But it benefits a growing teenager, like young kid who could be going through a lot of stuff to have someone that's there for them. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And it could save a lot of lives. It could save a
lives.
lot of situations. It could just prevent so much stuff.
It could prevent. There's a lot of web negative things propagating out. Even if someone doesn't end up, if they're sad and they're suicidal, they don't even end up killing themselves. If they do end up staying alive, but they're miserable the whole time, the things that affects. It's even like it's one thing when someone passes away because they kill themselves, and that affects people in a really sad, negative way. But if someone still doesn't do anything to fix themselves or get better or help, or at least try to, and they're always doing stuff like that, or they're making fake profiles, they're hurting other people, they're doing sneaky stuff, they're being sketchy on the internet. Yeah, it leads to a lot of problems, and I wish there was more help at younger ages. I wish there was less abuse at younger ages that creates these types of people when they become adults and they were hurt.
That's why the cycle has to be like broken, quote unquote. Luckily, because mental illness is so talked about now, and especially with Gen Z, you know, seeing way more information and more about it, hopefully these kids will learn to, you know, figure themselves out or like get help and not be certain ways that could damage somebody and not be
Yeah.
abusive and not repress their feelings and take them out onto other people. Like, hopefully, like the cycle eventually over the next couple decades will change that a bit.
It takes time.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna take decades.
Decades. It's not going to be like
No.
next 2 years. It's going to be the next few generations, like kind of.
It's gotten better.
Yeah.
People talk about it more.
Yeah.
There's better help. There's like actual apps and websites like people can get help, and people are sponsored by these things.
Even Instagram profiles with nothing. Like, I follow a few great ones that my therapist recommended because it's just the things that these people, like licensed psychologists, have Instagram profiles and they're giving advice every day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like amazing advice
Mm-hmm.
that I feel like people could have used, you know, back in 2007 or
Right.
whatever. But here we are. It's
So-
all growth.
Back to influencers,
Mm-hmm.
because You mentioned that earlier. So influencers, I'm so confused by this term.
Yeah.
They're not doing things just to be positive and out of the kindness of their heart. They're doing it because they're promoting other people's things.
Some are and some aren't. It really depends on the influencer because, I mean, there's good ones and there's bad ones. There's influencers who have definitely not been the greatest people and they do it for the vanity. You know, influencers can be very vain because they rely on all those likes, all those followers, all those sponsored posts, all those people to send them free products so that they can show them off. I mean, I've done influencer things, but that's not what I thrive off of. I do it if the product is cool. Like I partnered with this watch company because I thought the watches were super cool, and the watches are very much inspired by architecture and like classic design. So, and then a legging company hit me up too recently, but I haven't responded to the email because I was just like, I have too much going on to think about like leggings, and you want me to post on my profile of me wearing these leggings, and I don't want to do that. Like,
Yeah.
you know, but there's people who like eat that up. They rely on that. They rely on all those likes. I mean, even like TikTok influencers, you'll see the sponsored like hashtag ad. Make sure you use Bounty on your next day's mess. Like, you know, it's like that's where advertisers are going for now. I mean, coming from working in an advertising background, like I remember the days where it was like, all right, we need you guys to find like 10 influencers so that we can add them to this campaign and ask them to be a part of it and then find out the budget and how much are we going to pay them. And a lot of the times brands don't want to pay anything. They want to send you free stuff and hope you're okay with it. A lot of influencers don't like that anymore. Now it's definitely something that they need to get paid for, and which is why now brands are caring a lot more about how many followers you have and how many likes you get, and it just keeps evolving into like a whole business. Influencers is a business.
Yeah.
It's a profession now for a lot of people. I mean, YouTube influencers, makeup influencers, like that's their life now. And the thing is that the thing of whether they're a positive person or not, it just really depends if you like their personality, I would say. Like, maybe this person does inspire you because along with showing off these cool products, they have amazing things to say. And then maybe this person's also just really funny.
Yeah.
I don't really know. You know, I guess in myself, like, I follow very few influencers, and it's probably mostly it's because I know them. And I know that they're great people, and I'm cheering them on from the sidelines while they're doing all this cool stuff. But as far as, like, you know, YouTube influencers and stuff like that, it's different. Because some of them will bring you into their life, and some will keep it strictly business.
Oh, okay.
So it varies.
Yeah.
Like a celebrity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Celebrities are all influencers, actually.
It seems to be that way. Yeah. It's such a weird term. It's so loose. Like, I hear it as a joke. I think it's a joke because I'm like, I don't even know what that means. I'm just like being myself.
It's like a celebrity isn't even a celebrity anymore. It's now they're all influencers if you think about it, because now somebody on Instagram with a ton of money, they'll say that following, it's like, yeah, this person's an influencer. Then that means a celebrity's an influencer. What is even the term celebrity anymore?
I guess it's turned into influencer, yeah.
Because of the way social media is going and everything's growing, everyone's becoming an influencer.
Yeah, I mean, if you have millions and millions of subscribers, and you say something, say Black Lives Matter, you're influencing things.
Yep.
People take that seriously.
And they take it seriously if you have that platform and you don't use it for good.
That's another weird thing.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, isn't it freedom of speech and expression? If that person wants to not say something or wants to say something, shouldn't they be allowed to?
They should, technically, yeah. But people want to see you using your platform for positivity as opposed to vanity, I think. That's kind of like, at least how I might see it, or a lot of people might see it, is like, wait a minute, like, or, the thing with, like, appropriating culture, and taking part in traditions and, like, looks and stuff that don't even pertain to you or what you grew up with, and then something bad happens to that culture that you used and you don't say anything about it. Like, now you don't have something to say. That's what gets you in trouble. It's like, you can't just do that, anyway. You can't be like that. You can't just steal someone's, like, identity or whatever and try. I mean, there's, like, one I see specifically where it's this white woman who's literally, like, put so much makeup on her skin, tries to look black, and was like, doing other things that were totally anti that, but then stealing that like look and appeal, for a lot of people, it was very problematic. It is problematic because it's kind of like you're just stealing. You're trying to be a whole other race, but you're not even respecting the race at the same time.
Yeah.
So
I mean, there's extremes to it, because it's one thing to do that. It's one thing to like just eat a cuisine from a different culture. You know, like,
yeah,
you know, but it's weird. It's like, or listen to music of a different culture, or wear clothes that might be from a different culture just because you just like the style and the fabric and the design of it. It gets very, that's the weird thing about it, is there is no definitive answer, and there is no like direct line. It's just like a spectrum of like, when do you decide that it's like the cancel culture? It's like, when do you decide that you don't actually agree with that and now you want this? Because then it's subjective. It's like, well, what if you're fine with someone just using their 10 million followers to just be vain and just show photos of them in the mirror and looking beautiful?
like the Kardashians.
Sure, exactly. But even theirs is complicated. Isn't Kim Kardashian like trying to do a lot with like getting people out of prison who are?
So she's doing some stuff, you know, like.
But then there's that other part of
there's
like, what we just said,
like her sister, like Kylie, whatever, right? Like that one, she gets talked about a lot, but they get so much money just for being talked about. It's almost like they don't even care.
I don't know anything about any of it, to be honest.
What is it? All press is good press.
Yeah,
so
except for
all likes and all clicks are good clicks, apparently.
unless you're canceled. Got canceled.
Got canceled, and you got to find a way to come back.
Man, it's so complicated.
It's so complicated. I'm like, man, I know I'm getting old because I'm seeing too many factors in this now, and it's just like, I just want to keep making my art and hanging out with my pets and maybe go travel. Like, you know, I just want simple.
You can
need
do those
simple
things, though.
you know. Yeah.
The thing is, all the internet's really doing is amplifying all the voices that have already been there. Okay, so like, if it's 1975, right? And we're in America, and there's none of the social media stuff, and you know, Jack Nicholson comes out with he's in a new movie, you know, Chinatown, and it's a big movie. Everyone's sitting around talking about Jack Nicholson. They're doing like what we're just doing right now. They're talking about it. They're just not putting it on Instagram. They're not putting it on Facebook. They see this person in TV and in movies. It's a different type of thing. Now that we all have the ability to voice our thoughts and opinions, we're doing the same stuff. These famous people and these athletes and these politicians are still around. We still hear about them. But now that we could see their photos, see direct words from them on Twitter, we're able to just kind of chime in, and we're all going to say and do what we would have done anyway at home while we're having a bonfire, and we were going to talk crap about these celebrities. Now we're just doing it online. Like, nothing's really changed, but everything's changed. Like, us at our core, we're still doing the same nonsensical stuff because we're bored. Because we should be out there exerting energy so we could fall asleep at night.
Yeah.
But instead we're sitting there, oh my God, I can't believe Kim's butt's this big. Kim Kardashian. And it's like, why don't we use this energy for something better so you could sleep at night?
I think that's something people just gotta learn, you know? Like,
takes a lot of discipline.
And a lot of self-realization, and just realizing the things that you're doing might be toxic for you. You know, like, again, like doing cyberbullying or being so obsessed with a celebrity for getting like her 10th butt job. Like, you know, it's just, you have to learn, and that comes with age, I feel like. I just think, you know what? That could be a lie, though, because I know there's plenty of people older than me who probably still haven't learned this lesson. But that's because they haven't.
You would hope it would come with
right?
age. It doesn't always, though.
No, I think it just comes with learning about yourself.
Inward thinking, outward thinking, self-realization, listening to people.
Yeah.
Constructive criticism, reflecting a lot. You know, really thinking about what you're doing and saying, and taking it seriously. Enjoying the little things in life,
and
laughing still,
smiling,
not being so mad at every post. I mean, just getting so upset about Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, looking at all that stuff, and not just taking a moment to just be happy.
I think, too, because we live in such a capitalistic society that a lot of us, it's like chasing that bag. Everyone wants to be an influencer because they think influencers make all this money and, you know, all this stuff. Or people want to be popular on social media because now if you are, like on TikTok, for example, if you get like, 10K followers, then you're eligible to start making like ad money or something like that. Or you can be like a creative partner or something like that. So there's these goals that are being set on social media now, like in these platforms that people really want to get to because they want to get to this status, you know? And status means what? Power, money, like that's
Spotify plays.
Yeah.
You know, your Spotify plays are everything now as a band. Like how many monthly listeners do you have? How many followers do you have? How many likes on Facebook? Now nobody cares about likes on Facebook. How many likes do you have on Instagram? You know, it's so the numbers game.
It's the numbers.
But that's why it's funny because it's like I don't get the numbers. They don't represent me at all. What represents me is like talking to people and hearing like, you know, going to a local restaurant and the waiter, well, not now, but before, and the waiter's just like, oh, I've been to DZ Fest before. Like, and I'm like, I don't know who that is. Like, that means more to me than like, how many followers do I have? Because like, that's the internet. It's not real. It's as real as you make it.
I say that. I think I said that recently on Twitter because like the last few months have been really hard, right? Like I know that, and like my close friends have known that. But I like Instagram. I'm posting stuff like nothing really, not exactly like nothing, but you know I'll post something or whatever, and to the masses they don't really know what's going on behind the grid. They don't know what's going on in my life. They can just assume, oh my God, she's getting her photos taken by this photographer, or like, you know, oh, like she's so happy, she looks so great. Maybe I'm not,
Yeah.
you know, and not that I like want to advertise that to everyone. I try to be open about the fact that I struggle with mental illness because I want people to know that like, hey, you might see this part of me, but I'm struggling too, you know. It's just that's not everything I want to advertise full force to you guys. I don't want to depress you guys, you know, but yeah, like you don't always know what's going on behind, you know, and on the other side of the phone. Like you don't know what people are going through. So things can look very perfect and like they're having this super successful and crazy awesome career, but in reality they could be trying to get like $7,000 back from somebody. So
Why don't you tell us how you really feel?
yeah.
Wow, guns blazing out of that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another classic phrase: "Don't judge a book by its cover."
Yeah, and don't let that bring you down yourself.
Yeah.
Don't let this, you know, ideal or the assumption or whatever of someone being super whatever, what you want to be or what you wish you could be, like, don't do that. Try to take care of yourself. You got to keep yourself happy, keep yourself healthy, and fulfill what you want to do with your life. And that's a lesson I had to learn. That's a lesson that a lot of people have to learn still, you know? But that's what comes with it again, is the whole self-actualization, looking inward, really thinking about it, and taking that time to be with yourself. So
I always wondered, do miserable people know they're miserable?
You know, that's a good question.
Because they feed on it, and the type of people. I mean, we've all met them. Maybe in some points you've even been it, where you don't even want to be around them. You might have a friend or a family or that cousin, and you're just like, I don't even want to be around this person. They're just always mean and miserable. It's like they don't even care. Everything's negative that comes out of their mouth. They gotta be better than you at everything. You wish, like, I'm giving an extreme example, but like I've experienced this, and I just wonder, like, do they know? Maybe they know, and that's what makes them even more miserable, is like they know they're not happy. They just don't. They just keep feeding back in on it.
It's like an addiction.
Self-destructive. It's like, you know, the people that are big on certain drugs or drinking, and they like feed into it. You know, like I've been around or worked with people who are just like, yeah, I'm drunk. You're just like, oh, you're just gonna go out there and say that, huh? You're like, yeah, I drink every day. I'm drunk. You're just like, or they like laugh about it. Like, yeah, I'm just an alcoholic. You're like, oh, I don't know. That's not good. That you're just
you
like,
want to laugh about that, guys.
yeah, no. I mean, have you experienced this before? Or like, yeah, I'm just, you know, I don't know. I just like, yeah, I eat like crap. I just eat like crap every day. And you're just like, so you're aware that you feel like crap because you eat like crap. Do you want to change that? Anything you want to do about this? Drinking, smoking, drugs, just sleeping terribly every night. Like, oh, I sleep so bad every night. And you see it in their eyes. You see it in their demeanor. Their skin looks bad. You're like, there's just no, you don't want to stop this. You just want to keep complaining about it. You want to bring everyone's tone down in the room and then not do anything about it. What is that? Why? It's there's always that one person, you know, in your life that's like that. And I'm like, why?
It's hard. I think that they haven't gotten that wake-up call yet. Or that moment that where it like flips. It's hard to explain because I
Eureka
know,
moment?
yeah, where it's like, what am I doing? Because even like I've done self-destructive stuff. I've binge ate like Cheetos and stuff like that. Like especially because I've had multiple episodes of depression, but each one I learn more and more about what not to do, or how to recognize that I'm being self-destructive. Now I can very much recognize if I'm being self-destructive, and it's like, okay, let's think about this. Like, do we want to do this tonight? Like, no, we don't. You know. So I think that they just gotta learn. They need someone to snap them out of it. They need something to trigger them. That's like, this is not okay. What do they need? Like the whole Scrooge thing where they need the past, present, and future to come into their life in a dream or something and tell them like, you're screwing up your life if you don't snap out of this.
That's where good friends come in to play. Being a good friend is not just being there for somebody or being supportive, but it's like letting them know. I've had good friends. It might have come off as rude or facetious, but in the end, it was just their way of expressing it. But then when they were helpful, in the end, they were like, Ben, X, Y, and Z, or this person, that, you should probably think about that. And you're like, oh, shoot. Like, people need good friends. You need good friends, good parents, colleagues, a boss, anybody to kind of politely check you and let you know. And when you don't have that, we don't have that positive reinforcement, I think that's when it just leads you down a dark path when no one's there to be like we were talking about earlier, like not having the right male role models to tell you, like, don't be catcalling women. Like, don't do that. Don't say this to them. No one wants to be called this. Don't touch them. Don't message them on Facebook or Instagram with inappropriate things. If you're going to message them, say something nice or ask if you could buy their artwork. Like, that's pretty much it.
What's crazy is that dealing with somebody that's in a fragile state, it's hard. It's really hard because you want to come to them and confront them, like intervention style or something, but you could be going about it all wrong. Maybe in your head you think you're doing it right, but because people are so sensitive and triggered by different things, just because I've experienced this. So, like being confronted on something and you feel like, and it's making you feel like a complete asshole. That's not how you want someone to feel. But if you're using words like you did this, then of course someone's going to be defensive and they're going to be upset because you're calling them out on stuff. But instead of, I don't know, maybe rephrasing the way you say something, it could be as simple as that. Because I know that's why a lot of people are scared to call out friends or whatever if they're doing self-destructive behavior or if they're being too something, right? You can't go at it with, you're doing this to me, you're doing this to us. Like, as if they're deliberately trying to harm you. They're literally just not. I wouldn't say everyone's deliberately trying to harm somebody. It's just they're stuck in their own brain and they're stuck in this sad world that they're in at the moment or however long they're in it. And I just think that definitely, like, coming to your friends and checking them is something that's important. But also be aware of how you do it and don't make them feel even worse than they probably already do.
They already feel really bad.
Yeah.
They're probably aware of it. Make it about them. Don't say, like, oh, you're doing this to me. You did this to your kid. You did this to your mom. Their problem is about them. So make it about them. Like, preface it with, we care about you. We love you. We've been with you. We've been here for you a long time. But we notice X, Y, and Z about your behavior. Like, it seems like you're having a hard time. Like, yeah, I've had to be in those positions. It's hard. There's no real easy way to do it, but there's definitely better ways to do it. And go in it with the right demeanor. Be polite. Don't use swear words or anything. That's just going to be triggering. Be nice.
When I recently came into the situation, before I could even really speak up, I was told that they were afraid to approach me because I get defensive automatically. And that was wrong. That's wrong for someone who's going through depression. That's wrong for someone who already is beating themselves up. Because then you're telling them that nothing they say can, I don't want to say like change their mind or argue their case, but you're just telling them that what they have to say or what they're feeling doesn't matter. So, like, don't do that. It sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of have to open it up with nicer words. almost like compliments and stuff like that. Ease the situation. You know?
Compliment sandwich.
Compliment sandwich. And everyone's different. Everyone handles it different.
Yeah.
But when you're in an emotional, distressful position and someone comes in with like a subtle jab, and to them it's not a jab, they're just trying to figure out a way to balance it and make it relative to like what's going on. But to you, it's a jab. They're like, you know, you did this for so long, or you know, this affected us this way. It's just like it doesn't help. It doesn't help.
Mm-mm.
So it's definitely helpful to have good friends there to politely talk to you. Like, hey, man, I noticed lately you've been kind of feeling sad. Like when I see you, is everything okay? You know, something like that. Or like, yeah, you're not smiling as much. Are you feeling okay? Is everything all right? Versus like, man, what you did last night, that pissed me off. Why'd you do that? And like that, it's not gonna work.
Mm-mm.
You know, it just doesn't do it. Yeah, and that's the same logic with the whole internet mob of like when someone says something you don't agree with, you just start attacking. It's like, why would that work? Just like it doesn't work in real life when someone needs to be talked to and have a good, polite intervention or just conversation. Same thing with the internet. It's not going to work with that either.
It's all about the way you frame it. Like, yeah, anyone that's going through a hard time, like interventions this way on TV, they're always characterized as something that someone gets really, really upset about. Because, yeah, like framing things in that serious demeanor, obviously there's some serious situations where it's appropriate and it's like, let's gather everyone to please talk to this person. But if it's like a small thing, maybe it's going on for like a month and it's not really hurting anybody, but it's annoying you, don't do that. Don't be like, oh my God, you're hurting me. Like, you're disregarding everything about me, instead of it's like, well, I'm going through stuff right now. Like, and you know this. And they're openly say, well, I know you're going through things, but this is what you're doing to me.
Yeah.
That's not going to make me feel like I need to change or I want to change. That's going to make me feel angry and confused, because all I'm thinking is the opposite of that, is just trying to deal with what I'm going through right now and not trying to hurt anybody. It's a complicated thing. It's a complicated situation when you're approaching somebody that's very sensitive and going through stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why canceling doesn't work, because maybe that person just needs help.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they just need to take a break and they just need help. Maybe they're making bad decisions. They always have been, but now that they're in the public eye, it's more apparent, and they just need a therapist. Friends and family, maybe they take a break from social media, you know,
or they need to get arrested if they did something really,
Sure.
really bad.
Sure, I'm not like sugarcoating people's bad mistakes. Sometimes,
Yeah.
they need to be arrested, but I'm saying when it's just like something they said a long time ago,
Yeah.
and it wasn't a crime, it was just something they probably shouldn't have said, and they apologize for it, then it's like maybe they just need a little break and like have someone to talk to. Like, yeah, I'm not like that anymore. I've changed my ways. I don't speak like that, you know. But you know, there's some people that need to be arrested.
There's a whole spectrum of these situations.
Yeah,
It's not just like A, B, or C. Like,
it's not binary. It's
everything
not on
in
or off.
between. Like,
Yeah.
everything's so different and so unique for so many different people in every aspect of life. So things, I just feel like a lot of things shouldn't be treated like it's just A, B, C. When it comes to that stuff, obviously illegal stuff, you need to know.
Even the levels of
Yeah.
it being illegal. I mean, our judicial system has come
Oh
up
my
with
God.
different levels of illegal stuff, you know, which is
Yeah.
crazy because it's like so arbitrary sometimes. You're like, wait, so if I said this, I only get that type of slap on the wrist. But if I said that, I get a cuff on the wrist. And if I said that, I go to prison for a long time.
If my
Like,
skin is that color and I said the same thing as that other guy, the white guy, I go to jail, but he gets to go home with like house arrest for 2 weeks.
or if they have money,
Yeah.
they get to pay bail. Although,
Oh.
which they got rid of in this
Yeah.
state, which is a great thing. I've complained about that for a long time.
Yeah.
Because it makes no sense at all. It's like, so if you have money, you don't go to jail because you gave the government money to not go to jail. And you have to just show up to your court case. But if you don't have money, you have to sit in jail until your court case. It makes no sense on any level at all. I don't know why it's still a thing anywhere. If you have money, you get to go home. If you don't, you have to suffer. Where does that have to do with law? Where is the law? Where's the ethics in that? Where's the rationale in that other than the government just wants some free money?
Just money.
They just want money. But there's some crimes that are really bad and you could still pay bail. It just might be $1 million. and there's been people who've committed terrible crimes, and they got to go home because they paid $1 million. I mean, they still have to go back to court and stuff, but that could leave them open to do other crimes or flee the country.
Mm-hmm.
You know, don't worry, they're a flight risk. We'll watch them. It's like people have cars. If someone's got $1 million to pay bail, they have a million different ways to sneak out of this country.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say that I could sneak out of this country. I got nothing. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
It's
It's
it's not easy to get over to Canada.
Oh, money.
It's just there's a couple of forest preserves in the way of getting over to Canada. It's not that hard. Man, what time is it? Guess how long have I been doing this for?
2.5 hours.
About 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Holy cow!
Yeah.
Just going over all the topics.
We've gone everywhere, eh?
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to talk about or touch on? Anything you want to promote?
Wow. It's back to me now. Like, I mean, I'm working on a music video right now, animated music video for this band called The Sweeps. They're here in Chicago.
I've heard of them.
Yeah, I'm working on a music video for them.
Awesome.
So I'm really excited about that. That's the one where I was saying like, oh my god, it's taking so long to render, and I haven't sent them the revision yet, but it's fine. They're really, really, really sweet guys. So other than that, I am planning on hopefully having my first GIF art show in the summer. It's like right now it's the idea, and then I'm planning it out in my head until maybe about next month once my month clears up a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, I can plan that out because I'm gonna need obviously like multiple projectors, a big enough space, find some sponsors.
Sponsors for
any like beverages, and even just for the space. Like I have a connect because of Babes Only, the nonprofit organization. We work with Jägermeister, Lululemon. Like we have reps in the city that like can help us out maybe with some water bottles, or Jaeger is like, here, take some of our cold brew shots for your party, you know.
what kind of space would you like to do it in?
Definitely I think like a loft space. Like Lacuna Lofts is like in my head the first thing I think about, but the realistically getting that space, I don't know yet, because I have never done this before, but I've always wanted to do this type of show. But I feel like because of the art I do, it's not envisioned, like a lot of people don't envision it being a live show or anything like that, because they see it mostly on a computer screen or digital. But because I've been doing a lot of projection photography, which is literally projecting visuals onto someone and taking them pictures, I'm like, this would be a great opportunity too for people to want to take pictures with my art. Like, it's a win-win for everybody, you know?
Is there a sonic element to it?
DJs. But Espen and I are definitely going to start working on some stuff because he started producing more music, and he's learning a lot more about like his writing and stuff. So definitely I talked to him about doing some NFT, like sonic art, like so he makes the sounds and I make some cool art with it.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, if you need sound systems, a sponsor for sound systems, let me know.
Okay, yeah.
I have a music festival worth of sound systems to utilize that I just sit around my house.
Oh yeah, I'm actually one of my old coworkers from my last job. We're working on she's working on a virtual music festival right now.
Oh.
Yeah, I need to get more information on that, but I know my boss from Babes Only is like helping her with that too.
Very cool.
Virtual music festival. Who would have known, right?
I can't wrap my head around it. I'm just like, I don't even know what that entails. I've been asked so many times. I'm just like, I'm just gonna wait for when we could just go back in the yard and do it again. Which it might be possible in the fall.
Yeah.
They're 6 months away from that. This whole vaccine thing, the summer, the political climate, everything's shifting. The summer changes everyone's mentality. Like last year's summer changed so many people's mentalities. Everyone was outside and doing stuff again. We almost thought it was over with by like August. Like, oh, this is great. Yeah. But no, it came back like we thought.
And there's stronger strains apparently. So it's just.
But then there's like apparently going to be 600 million vaccines by a certain date in the summer. I don't know. I keep hearing all these different things.
Have you signed up to get one or?
I don't know if I can until.
Yeah, I did. I forgot the name of it. I have to find the link. I could send it to you, but it's like through the city of Chicago, and you can like RSVP essentially your spot. Because I have a pre-existing condition, I would be right now. They're in phase 1A or 1B. 1A is essential like frontline workers and elderly, and then 1B is essential workers. So not like nurses and doctors, but anyone who's been deemed an essential worker. And elderly. And then 1C is anyone with pre-existing conditions or elderly. And then 1D is where it's like everyone else.
Got it.
So that's how they're doing it.
I'll probably, I mean, I teach, but I know right now they're not doing like secondary education as any type of, gets on any type of list for whatever reason, even though we should get universities back.
CPS students had to go back today.
Yeah, well,
Right.
I'm thinking of college, like.
But teachers in general.
Yeah, teachers in general need to get all vaccinated, and all teachers should, from kindergarten, from preschool to a trade school, to a university, to a grad school, to a 8th grade. Anybody who's educating anybody should be vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Anyone that has to be around people because that's their job. Like,
yeah.
They should be able to be protected, or at least some sort of protection, because, you know, they don't... There's still, like, the looming question, like, does it work? Is it going to work for these new crazy strains that are coming out in California or, like, Oregon?
Mm-hmm.
Who knows?
I mean, as soon as I can,
Yeah.
I'll get back. I'm definitely not against it. I'm just waiting, just being patient,
Yep.
waiting for when I can, you know. I mean, we get emails every day through work. I'm just kind of waiting to find out. But until then, I just be as healthy as I can be, take my vitamins, eat well,
Hand
sleep
sanitize
well.
like a maniac.
I never hand sanitize.
Oh my God. I'm always hand sanitizing when I get out of the grocery store, before I go into the grocery store.
I mean,
like,
then that's.
yeah.
I mean, yeah. If I go to the grocery store, I'm saying like in life,
Oh.
because I'm like these. I hate to break it to you, everyone, but bacteria is good for you. It's how you've been alive this long.
Mm-hmm.
You need it. You need to take that stuff. You don't want to over sanitize, and you're not taking in any good germs, and you need them. It's tricky. It's
Yeah.
tricky. You know, I'm like, yeah. Everyone's always like, I sanitize. My hands are all rough. I'm like, my hands are great, moisturized. Yeah, I wash my hands and sanitize when I go to and from places, but around the house and stuff, I'm just like, I don't. What's I'm
Just
here.
wash my hands.
Yeah, I'm here.
Regular soap.
One more question for you.
Yeah.
Do you design, like, have you ever designed images for like tattoos and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's funny. Like, this is my drawing. This is my drawing. I got another one back here. That's my drawing. This is my first tattoo. That's my drawing.
That's cool.
It beats.
That's clever.
And you know what's funny is that was not the intention. It was
Really?
it was my first tattoo. I really was into anatomical hearts, and I loved drawing like them and body parts and stuff. And so I drew it and was like, what's a great spot for my first tattoo? And it's my wrist. And later on in life, I'm just like, oh, I can make it beat.
I can make it beat.
It beats. Like,
That's so funny. That's cool. And just the ones on your arms, nothing else?
there's this one. It's the astronomical symbols of the planets.
Mm.
So I really love outer space. This one's La Luna from Loteria. And then I have a big Salvador Dali, like elephant, spider elephant on my ribs.
Mhm.
And then this big flower piece on my side. But this one I didn't design, nor this one, because this is Salvador Dali. And then this one was designed by the tattoo artist.
Mm.
I want to get more, but I need to save up some money.
It's money.
Yeah.
I have none. No tattoos. I always think about it.
Yeah.
I'm on the fence. I'm waiting for like the right thing.
I
don't
know someone who's saved up money and then since November has gotten like 10 back-to-back tattoos. Like, they're addicting, and also like they've saved up however much they saved up to just keep getting tattoos this past like few months.
So you like getting them?
Yeah, definitely they hurt. Not every spot hurts as much though as like my thigh. Oh my God. So that one I got done last summer, and that one hurts a lot.
Yeah.
He had to keep putting like the numbing spray on my thigh, and it was a 7-hour session. So that one hurt a lot.
7 hours?
Mm-hmm. I was on the table for 7 hours.
So you're just laying there in pain for 7 hours?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's wonderful.
Discipline, huh? Probably gives you a new perspective on life.
Yeah, but then that's crazy is because they're so addicting.
Really?
Yeah, like, for some reason you crave that pain again in some weird, sick way.
That is sick. Sadistic.
Yeah, but I think it's because of the results, you know,
Oh,
like
okay.
the art afterwards, like you just see it every day and you're like, I love this tattoo. Like, I can't wait to get another one. This one didn't hurt as much. Like my biceps didn't really hurt as much. This inner bicep definitely hurt because it's the skin. So it also depends on the skin on your body. Like the thinner skin
Mhm.
hurts way more clearly,
Mhm.
you know, it's like by fat and stuff.
Yeah.
The wrist didn't really hurt. I have one on my shoulder blade. And I fell asleep. I fell asleep like during this one.
You fell? It was that not painful?
Yeah, I fell asleep during my shoulder blade. Like I was because I had a tattoo buddy, And so it was so casual sometimes. It'd be like, hey, yeah, you want to give me a tattoo? Like, let's go. And this one's my drawing too. So they were so cool because they'd be like, hey, I want to get this drawing tattooed on me down. Like,
Yeah.
and my ribs, I got my ribs as my second tattoo. It was after a breakup. And I was like, let's feel some pain, guys. Like, let's
That's
do
how
this.
you deal with a breakup.
Yeah, I got the tattoo and it hurt. I was like a flopping fish on the table. I was like just like twitching a lot. And at one point he had to stop because his boss had a diabetic like attack, like coma or whatever, like midway through my tattoo. Luckily McNeil was like 10 minutes away, so he went to go take him to McNeil really quickly and come back and then finish my tattoo. And by that time my skin had started to swell.
Oh no.
It hurt, but I got it done.
That's an interesting story for a tattoo.
Yeah.
Middle of it had to stop, hospital, come back. So you have like 10?
Yes. 10? 1. Wait a minute, I'm like counting. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 11.
11.
I got 11 now. Yeah.
And you want to get them for the rest of your life?
Yep. For the longest time, I avoided getting them on my like forearms and stuff because when I was like 10 years ago, I was thinking like, oh, what if I get a job?
You're always
and they
told
don't wanna-
jobs.
You're always told that.
Jobs, necks, anything above like neck and arms.
Yeah, you're just like, oh, if you get a job and they don't want you. And now I'm like, what? But that was also before I realized how my career was going to be and that I was going to be an artist as a career. So it's like now I'm like.
I would say 99% of the jobs you would want to do or would do, it wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
And also I feel like jobs are becoming more and more lenient towards that. And it's not so much of a stigma anymore.
As long as they're not like blatantly offensive or like, you know, disrespectful or just vulgar, I feel like a lot of jobs and companies, don't care.
Yeah.
And that was the purpose for like keeping my forearms clean. But now I'm like ready for some sleeve action almost. Like I just want more. And my arms are themed. Like my right arm is anything like spacey.
Mm-hmm.
And then my left arm is just more personal or like, you know, like I want to get a tattoo. I had a pet bunny and she passed away in 2015. So I want to get a tattoo of her on my arm.
Yeah.
Her name was Chancho from Nacho Libre.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I was like, what's that from? Nacho Libre.
Yeah.
That's cool. So just anywhere you can do art, you do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. I really enjoyed having you here.
Thank you.
And I learned a lot about you because,
Yeah.
I mean, I've talked to you in passing a handful of times, but not much, right?
Yeah.
Whenever I've seen you, I've been busy with stuff, you know, and so thank you for being here and thank you for making the art you make. I very much appreciate it. I very much enjoy it. How long is this video that's been displaying? Like, what's its loop?
I think it's about 10 minutes of just an assortment of, like this one. This is the music video I worked on this summer. And then it's like some of the most recent like reels on Instagram that I've been putting out. And then it's a couple of gifs. I say gifs, by the way. I don't say GIF. I never did. So, you know.
I never even really say the word out loud because I don't know. I'm just like, whatever people say, that's what I go with. GIF, GIF.
And, this is I was really proud of this one. So I figured I'd throw it in here because it's the longest thing I've made. But now this Sweeps music video is about 5 minutes.
Cool.
So that will be now the longest thing that I've animated. And I'm also creative directing a music video this month as well for a Latin artist named Lester Ray. And that's going to be entailed of doing some motion graphics and stuff to be projected, but then also just overall like kind of storyline and like theming and stuff like that. So I just like my brain, just use my creative brain somehow. Like I need to express it some different form. So that's kind of how I am, where I'm at.
That's good. So you have a lot of good freelance stuff coming up this spring at least.
Yeah.
Good for you. Good for you. Well, yeah, thank you again for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. This is a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
I learned a lot about you too.
Yeah?
Yeah. This
Good.
is great.
Did you enjoy this?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you weren't nervous or anything?
No, I
Good,
feel like
good.
I can totally be a chatterbox if I
Good.
really want to.
That's the whole point of this. Just me and you and a guest just talking and just learning about each other, not really a prerogative or a direction, just kind of just going.
Yeah.
You know, just talking, expressing. I learned a lot about art and the female perspective, the other end of it, you know. It's always it's been a weird thing every time I've had a woman on this podcast in person. they were always doing something creative, and they've always had a lot of the same stories of men and issues with it. And so
Oh, those men.
I think it's important for men to hear it.
Yeah.
You know, to if they haven't made those mistakes, that's good. Keep doing that. Try to inform your friends about it. If they had made those mistakes, recognize them, apologize to people, and don't do it anymore and move on. And that's why it's important to have different people on to talk about those things, you know.
Just do the work too, like to show that the respect.
Mm-hmm.
You know, make the effort. Don't just apologize. Oh, I'm sorry. And then next day, like act like you didn't do anything to make people feel offended or upset.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Show your work.
Don't disregard people's feelings.
Never. Everyone is a person just like you are,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of your gender or your sex. You are a human being. You should be respected, and you should respect others.
Mm-hmm.
And be thoughtful. Be a thoughtful, loving person.
At the end of the day, that's all we need. That's all we need. Everyone needs to respect each other, and we just, that's it.
Life can be much better.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
So, good. Well, ending on a positive note.
Yep.
Do you want to plug your social media for anybody to follow or look at?
Okay. So my my Instagram. I'm thinking of my name spelling, but it's DYANAPYEHCHEK. Usually, if you just type the DYANA part, I'll come up. I have blue hair, everybody. Right there. My picture has blue hair, so I'm pretty sure you'll be able to find it. And if not, if you just type in like my full name, the Diana, Diana, and then my crazy last name, in Google, you'll find like my website. It usually comes up right away.
Very cool.
Mm.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Deanna, for being here.
Thank you.
I had
for
a wonderful
having me.
time. You're a great person, great artist. Keep doing what you do, and one day you'll be back on.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care.
You too.